it was a bottleneck basically. So I sped up a little bit, not necessarily over the speed limit, just right there in line with it. And I put my turn signal on and moved over to the outside lane. And as I was moving into that lane, I just inadvertently canceled the turn signal. And lo and behold, a state trooper comes up behind me, pulls me over. And I said, is there a problem? And he said, yeah, you didn't get your turn signal back there. And I said, well, they're working. The long and short of the story is, he gave me a ticket for, I think it was like $110.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, it was insane. And it was like 4 points. So I was curious. I wasn't disrespectful. I didn't really say anything. I said, you're kidding. And he goes, no, I'm not kidding. I said, I turned signal. I watched it blink. He checked it. He goes, I didn't see it. I went, okay. Well, thank you. I went to court. And as I stepped up to the window, on the ticket, it said if I paid it in 30 days, it was only 2 points.
Okay.
When I went to the window to check in to talk to the prosecutor, I said, they said, well, if you pay it right now, it's 0 points. And I go, cha-ching, money trail, I don't like this.
Yeah.
So I sat down, met with the prosecutor, and I said, well, so if you had words with the trooper, I said, no, sir, not at all. I said, I drive 25,000 miles a year in northern Colorado. Oh, what do you do? I said, I'm a soldier. So you understand the laws? I said, yeah, I'm respectful. I'm out there all the time. He goes, we want you to have a good experience with the municipality. We're going to waive it.
Really?
And that was the end of the story.
Really?
So the moral of the story is, if you're correct, and you've really not done anything wrong, but I'm sorry, but a lot of these tickets today, it's money. They've turned them into revenue officers instead of true, in an opinion, instead of, the real reason they're there.
You know what, David? I think in a lot of cases you are 100% correct. I've actually talked to some officers and know some officers very well, and I will tell you that a lot of the officers that I know, anyways, they would much rather be doing things than running traffic on certain days. Now, I will tell you that there are certain parts of town in certain areas and in certain towns where they will purposely run traffic because traffic gets to the point where it starts to get, quote unquote, out of control. If the speed limit is 45 and people are doing 60, well, and of course, the other thing that happens too, and this is something else for everybody to realize, and this does happen also, if regular citizens call in and complain about certain things happening in certain areas of town, officers typically will have to go out and do some traffic control if there's enough complaints received in a particular area. Now, in your case, what you're talking about is totally unrelated to that. But my point is, those guys do the best they can. But there are times where, David, I would agree with you. And some of this, I think, comes down more from the admin level than it does from the officers themselves on what they need to go out and control.
Yeah.
Sure.
Comes from city council.
Yeah. Dorsey just said, and David, I think he's right. Sometimes it comes from city council as much as it comes from even the police chief.
Okay. Can I throw one more quick one in?
Sure.
Okay. I've been driving since as long as you, John. So I'm about the same age. So we're experienced drivers.
Yes.
I've driven on everything.
Yes.
I confess, the first time I've been rear-ended and hit and run 5 times. I've been T-boned, and I've been the victim every time. Well, a couple of months ago, I created my own accident. At 20 miles an hour, I looked down, looked up, looked down, looked up at my map. I rear-ended the car ahead of me at 20 miles an hour.
Oh, man.
And it's not a fun experience, but the point of the story is no one was hurt. 3 cars, 3 ahead of me were involved. It was humiliating, to say the least. And it was near a college campus, and I thought, this is like rear-ending my own daughter. This is horrible.
Yeah.
So everybody's fine. We get out. Everybody exchanges insurance. I've already called the insurance company, reported the accident, did all the due diligence, and I'm in the process of calling the wrecker. No one from any law enforcement or anything shows up. Nothing. So we were not impeding traffic, except mine. Yeah, I was even out of the way. I thought it was still running on to move it. Where everybody was about to pull away, and a compliance officer, or there's another name for the municipality I was in, pulls up, and she said, what's the problem here? I said, well, I said, I'm about to in my car. Oh, you can't leave. I go, oh? I said, we've exchanged it, no one's here. You get to have a ticket today. Thank you so much.
Probably an accident investigation cop, probably is what that was.
I think it was, but it was pouring the salt on the proverbial wound. But anyway, I know how it feels on the other side.
Get out of there fast enough.
That's the truth. I was like, we did all the due diligence, and that was it.
That downside is, and here's a little lesson for everybody else listening, by the way. It doesn't matter whether you think you're at fault or not. Now, in your case, David, you admitted that you were, but it doesn't matter if you think you were or not. If you're the last guy there and you are the rear ender, in other words, you've been the person that has rear-ended the car in front of you, no matter whether the car pulls in front of you, I don't care what the excuse is, you are going to get the ticket, period, no matter what.
Yep, you get the chicken. You get the ticket.
No matter what.
All good. Hey, thank you, guys.
You're welcome, David.
Show.
You're good, man.
Right.
I appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you. I appreciate the phone call very much. Let's go to Kurt, who is up next in Erie. We got a couple lines open, 303-477-5600. Kurt, what's going on today?
I just had a question about diesel fuel in the winter.
Sure.
I had a discussion with a friend of mine the other day, and he said that they put anti-gel in the diesel in the winter.
Depends on the station.
I always added it myself.
It depends on the station. It depends on the quality of the diesel fuel you're buying it. So, where you're buying it from, I guess I should say. So that is a true statement to a point, although I will tell you that there are higher levels of that anti-gel additive they will add, and that has a lot to do with the price you're paying at the pump for diesel fuel.
Okay. Because I've always added it myself.
Yeah, if you're buying it...
He said, well, you don't need to do that.
If you're buying it from a pump station, and not bad-mouthing anybody here, by the way, but if you're buying it at some of our local area stations, and it gets down below zero, I probably would be adding an additive. Now, me as a fleet owner, where I get my fuel from, they're adding enough to that, I'll be real honest with you. I've never had a problem with fuel gelling with the fuel I'm buying.
You're winterizing your fuel.
Right. But I'm paying about 10 to 15 cents a gallon more in the wintertime for fuel than I would go down to the pump. But I'm also not having to add any additives into it.
Does your jobber still offer number one?
I can buy number one if I want to, but I don't because they're putting enough in regular number two diesel. I don't need to.
So I've had some experiences with the winterized diesel. There again, depending where you're getting it, you get down to about 5 below and it'll gel.
That's right.
And then they have to come out and put number one in.
That's right.
Yeah. The only truck, I have 2 diesel trucks and a tractor, and I have a Volkswagen diesel, and the only one I've had trouble with is my 08 Ford, and it's gelled on me a couple times with anti-gel in it.
Yeah, and
so I don't know what the deal is for that. If the line's exposed too much.
The design of the truck, and I was just going to say, and you just really kind of went there. A lot of it also depends on the actual truck itself. Some trucks are more prone for gelling than others.
You got a 08 Ford 6.0 liter?
No, 6.4 would be an 08.
6.4, yeah.
It's got a fuel heater in it. You might want to have the fuel heater checked and make sure it's working.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
If it's not, it will. It'll gel.
Yeah.
That could be it. So
we've replaced a lot of fuel heaters.
Now, and it's a question for Dorsey as much as anybody. When did when did the major manufacturers start adding heaters onto the fuel system on diesels?
I've seen all the 6.0s with heaters and some of the 7.3s, so it was right around late 99, early 2000.
Okay, so since then, most everything's got a heater on it. Okay. And that helps a ton, by the way, Kurt.
That's interesting. I didn't know they had a heater.
Yes.
Yeah, and they've got a water drain, too.
Yeah, I knew that. I also had a quick worst ticket story.
Go ahead.
It was back in the 70s. I just graduated. I was ready to go into service, and I I got a ticket for exhibition of speed.
Oh no.
It was actually drag racing, but at that time they said they can't find the other guy. They couldn't catch the other guy, so they give you the ticket for exhibition of speed.
Yeah.
So, it was a 12-point ticket, and
It's a lot.
so I went to court and told the judge I was going into service in the next week or next couple of weeks. And so he dropped it down to careless driving, so I got out of it anyway. But,
Well, that was good because those are heavy tickets.
yeah, well, I would have lost my license for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, because if you're under 21 and you get a 12-pointer, you're done. Yeah, you're done.
Yeah. So anyway, that's mine.
Hey, that's a good one. Kirk, appreciate it very much. Let us know how that works out on your diesel. But you should if you're buying it from the pump, I would add a little bit of an additive. If it's going to drop below, say 10 degrees, 5 degrees outside, I would put a little additive in it.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna check that. Have that heater checked too.
Yes, that'd be a good idea.
Mhm.
Yep. Well, definitely.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you.
You bet. Appreciate it very much. Let's go to Randy in Castle Rock, who is next. We got lines open 303-477-5600. Randy, what's going on, sir?
Hey guys, I got hit twice in the last 3 days.
Oh, you're kidding me.
My neighbor's pulling out of the apartment complex. Now my thing is you got 4-wheel drive. Put it in 4-wheel drive, keep your wheels straight, just walk on out.
Right.
But he's got it in 2-wheel drive and he's not all that bright, so he's sliding and he's about a finger. I just stick my hand in between the vehicles, so I go out there and and he's out there with a broom, which doesn't do anything. You need a shovel and all in all, he did get out, but he scuffed the bumper. But on that Jeep, he got those plastic plastic little bumpers on the side, so I got it stuck, so I didn't do anything. It's just you don't know how to drive.
Right.
Yesterday, which was the day after, I got away with it for one day. Pull into the apartment complex, cars coming, there's enough room for me, so I go ahead and pull in about 5 miles an hour, and I guess the person behind me either did see the car, or I think they probably did see the car, tried to beat it, and they punched it. Well, I'm still doing about 5, and after they punched it, they had to slam their brakes, and we're still all slushy. So, bam, they hit the other side of the bumper.
Oh, geez.
I get a scuff. I just get a scuff, and I'm that big of a deal, and half of their grill's sitting out in the street with these cheap cars,
Great.
It didn't get the radiator or anything, but the whole grill is gone. Where it's VW and all that everything's sitting out there like a broken up comb.
Yep. So after that one, are you going to now fix the scuff, or what are you doing?
Well, I'm going to call the insurance adjuster. I priced that bumper out at about $50, but and that one's going to look new, and the other one's not going to look new.
Yeah. You should probably just go ahead and get both sides done. And no offense, the last guy probably ought to be paying for that.
Well, the one who crunched me and broke their front end.
Yep.
That's a bigger scuff, and it loosened up the bolt, and it's hanging down about a quarter inch.
Yeah,
I'll probably have them buy that one.
Well, yeah, and Randy, the other thing on that, and this is for everybody else out there listening, where you may think everything is just really, really superficial and it's not a big deal, I would still at the collision center yank that bumper off, check all the bracketry and everything underneath, because believe it or not, sometimes some things can get tweaked that you can't see with the naked eye. Double check all of that, because again, the last thing you want to do is devalue your car because some knucklehead ran into you.
Well, I was wondering what's behind the bumper, but I kind of thought that, if it hit it that hard, it would have puckered it. And it didn't really pucker it.
Not necessarily.
Not really.
Yeah, not necessarily. Again, have all that removed and look under it. And it could very well all be okay, but you won't know until you take it off and have it looked at.
Yeah, I'm going to tighten the bolt, and then I haven't looked to see if they knocked my lights, my reverse light and brake light or anything loose.
Yeah, I have all that checked.
Another that's it. My neighbor backed out. He was right next to me where I got hit. And this is the funny thing. He backs out 2 miles an hour, and he can't see until he's in the middle of those 2 doors. All right, so he's in a blind spot. But he's backing out, and the Jeep comes around here at about probably 10:15 and whacks him right about where his back wheel is. And he got the ticket. The police officer said that, he's backing up. He's supposed to be looking. Well, he's blind spotted, and by the time he could see, she whammed him. So I asked him, so if you're sitting here and you back out and I would have whammed you, it's your fault?
Whoever's backing, whoever backs out is going to be at fault.
That's a right-of-way issue.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, I just thought you had to keep an eye on what's in front of your vehicle.
Nope, the person come, like even in a parking lot, if you're going down a parking lot and somebody, backs out and whacks into you, the person backing out is going to be the one in trouble. Always.
I guess it happened quick.
It's similar to the story I said a minute ago, or if you're the last one to, I don't care if 5 cars pile up in front of you and you're the last guy to run into them, you're still going to get that ticket because you're always supposed to be watching what's in front of you. Now, If somebody's backing out and they back into you, again, they're the one now that have come out and impeded traffic. They're going to get the ticket.
No, he backed out, but he got hit. I assume their fault. He got hit, but he didn't just zoom out. He took his time.
He's going to be the one getting the ticket.
Well, yeah, he got the ticket.
Yep. That makes sense. Yep.
Anyway, those bumpers do pretty good. So
good deal.
They're nice protectors.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right,
appreciate it, Randy. Have a Merry Christmas. Appreciate you calling in. 303-477-5600. Neil, hang with us. We'll be right back to talk to you. And again, a couple of lines open right here on Drive Radio. I'm John Rush. Dorsey Johnson, KLZ 560.
Day. And believe it or not, the air you breathe inside your vehicle can be even more polluted than the air outside. Thankfully, many of the vehicles sold today are equipped with a cabin air filter to help keep the air inside your car clean. If you are driving a car with a dirty or clogged cabin air filter, not only are you breathing dirty air, but it also puts a strain on your car's HVAC system, decreasing its performance and longevity. K&N, the inventor of washable automotive air filters, has applied its decades of high-flow, washable air filter design to cabin air filters for cars and trucks. These robust filters clean and freshen the air coming into your car's interior and are electrostatically charged to hold dust and dirt. They feature a pleated filter media that helps capture most mold, mildew, fungus, spores, bacteria, germs, pollen, and other allergens, while still allowing a high volume of airflow. They are strengthened by a custom design frame for a great fit and years of use. Best of all, K&N cabin air filters are washable and clean up easy with the K&N Refresher Cabin Air Filter Cleaning Kit. They typically only need cleaning every 12 to 15,000 miles or once a year, but you can wash them more often if you'd like, and K&N backs them up with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. They come with easy-to-follow installation instructions so you can easily replace your old filter, usually in 5 to 10 minutes. Keep the air inside your car clean and fresh without continually burying and throwing away disposable filters. Find the K&N washable cabin air filter for your car or truck at knfilters.com. That's knfilters.com.
Life has consequences, and a consequence of a poorly maintained fleet of work vehicles is the unfortunate timing of a breakdown. Your customers are counting on you, and one breakdown could be a deal breaker for the customer your driver was trying to reach. Maybe that customer has clients of his own who are demanding an explanation, and so on. How long do you expect to be in business when your customers think you are unreliable? Your solution? Tilden Total Car Care. Using state-of-the-art software to monitor each vehicle in your fleet, Tilden can actually anticipate maintenance items before they become major repairs or ultimately breakdowns. Protect your profits, minimize downtime, and sleep better. Call Tilden Total Car Care today and ask about their fleet maintenance program. Call 303-797-7977. 303-797-7977. Tilden Total Car Care, helping as many people as they can, as fast as they can. Federal in Bellevue in Inglewood, and 6th in Peoria in Aurora.
John Rush here. I want to talk to you about your pets. I know it's a little weird on Drive Radio to talk about pets, but it's something that a lot of us have. Pets. I have one. I brought a couple of gentlemen along with me today that also have pets. So, David and Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Dan, first of all, what kind of pet do you have?
I've got a Shih Tzu.
Okay.
Little black Shih Tzu.
David, you?
I have a 3.5-year-old Alaskan Malamute.
So, question I have for you two guys is, are they a part of the family?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, my gosh. Kona is like blood.
Okay. So, if something happens to them, making sure they have proper care is like of the utmost, I'm guessing?
Oh, it's very, very important. Money's usually no object.
Okay, so I have a great place you guys can actually take your pets to get them taken care of. It's the Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center. It's owned by Dr. Bill and Nancy Morrill. They're longtime supporters of Drive Radio, and not only do they want to make sure that your pets get taken care of, but they've also got a full showroom of goodies. So if you need anything for your pet, they've got prescription dog food. They've got a full pet grooming facility, pet training. So if you've got a puppy or maybe even an older dog that you need to have some training done on, this is a one-stop shop. And guys, you probably know this as well as I. When you walk into most veterinarian clinics, what do they smell like?
Oh, not good. Like animals.
You get my drift.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, unfortunately.
When you walk in here into Lone Tree Veterinarian Clinic, It is not that way at all. It smells like a really professional, just like any doctor's office you would walk into. That's the way this thing works. So I would encourage you guys, use them. It's Dr. Bill and Nancy Moyle. Their phone number 303-708-8050. You can find them at LoneTreeVet.com.
Inside every quart of Castrol GTX conventional oil, there's an engineer. Well, not a real engineer, because that would be weird, but the work of an engineer who developed Tri-Shield technology to protect your engine from harmful sludge. And now all of that engineering is only $339 a quart at Napa. Just $339 for Castrol GTX. Conquer the job with Napa know-how. General states pricing. Sales prices do not
5 seconds.
include local taxes or recycling fees at participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 12/31/15.
We are back. John Rush Drive Radio, KLZ 560. Dorsey Johnson from Nevada West is with us. Neil is up next. Neil, welcome to Drive Radio. What's going on, sir?
Good morning. Good morning. I want to give a compliment to which there's not enough superlatives in the English language to compliment these guys on. It's one of your advertisers, Larry's Automotive.
Oh, yep. Really appreciate that.
I tell you, I had messaged you a number of weeks ago that I was having a problem with my transmission on my Jeep, and I just wanted to be sure it was the people that you recommended. I went up there, and they were perfect. They had such a hassle with the warranty company, but they got everything fixed. They ended up getting a new transmission. They noticed my clutch was worn. They resurfaced the rotor on it and put a new clutch in for like half of what it would be, since the warranty company paid for the DNR anyway. I mean, these guys went the extra mile. Jeff, the first thing he did when I bought that vehicle, he says, "Come on, let's go out and take a drive." And he's a large guy, and the Jeep was small, but you could tell from his fingertips how he could feel what was going on with the transmission. I mean, this is old school to the nth degree. Like, people like this don't even exist anymore.
You're right. You're right. No, you're exactly right, Neil. And that's true with a lot of our owners in our Colorado Select group. What you just said a moment ago, that old time service, that the ability to even, and I know it's harder and harder on the newer cars, but you can still do it. The ability to feel what a car is doing, understand what's happening. And I'm not trying to beat any of our young guys up, but it's just something that a lot of younger technicians just don't have, because they just don't have the experience to know all those things yet.
Yeah, you've got to use all your senses: hearing, sight, feel, smell, everything when you work on cars.
Yeah, and that's Neil. That's not. It's not taught today, because it's something that I'm not sure you can teach. It just comes from having years of experience in the industry.
Well, I tell you, I think the only thing those guys are missing is the old yellow dog sitting on a blanket by the cash register.
Yeah, a couple of black ones.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have some shops where you could go in and probably see that. So, that's exactly the way it is. That's the vetting we do. That's the, those are the guys we've got in our Colorado Select Auto Care group. And they're just all good, family-oriented, solid individuals, want to go the extra mile for the customer. You're living proof that these guys want to take care of their customer, of you, of our listeners. And Neil, man, it's great to hear from people like you that have great experiences.
Well, I want to say one other thing. I mean, they had a lot of problems with the navigating with the extended warranty company, and some people, say don't get them or whatever. I mean, I did get an extended warranty, and it has paid for itself twice over.
Good. Good for you.
So if I can give a plug, at least to the company that did the right thing in the long run and replaced the transmission, the extended warranty company I used, if I'm permitted to.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, that's fine.
That company was called Navis, Naviss.
Okay.
They were a little tough to deal with, and it was a protracted kind of a deal, but it has literally paid for itself twice over. And I just cannot compliment Jeff and Larry enough for all the extra effort that they went to.
That's awesome, Neil. I appreciate that very much. You admit, not only I know that makes their hearts full, but frankly, myself as a host and really the kind of the driving force behind Colorado Select. You know what? That really makes my day, because that means we're doing it the right way.
Well, you guys have a very Merry Christmas.
Appreciate it.
And a Happy New Year.
Appreciate
and
it.
I tell you, I am blessed to know those gentlemen.
Neil, you're a good man. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you also. Appreciate it very much. That's great to hear. You know what, Dorsey? That's what it's all about.
It's better than making money.
It really is.
Yeah.
It is. That's what it's all about. Knowing you helped somebody, you fixed them up, you got them going, you worked with their warranty company, saved them money all at the same time. And you know what? Here's the bottom line, folks, everybody listening. And at the same time, Larry and Jeff have to make money, which they did. And you know what? Everybody's happy at the end of the day. That's how it works. Because if you guys don't make money in the business, you can't be in business to help Neil. It's this great kind of this circle of life and how things work. And you've got to make money to be able to do that. And you know what? We really do have some solid individuals inside of our Colorado Select Napa Auto Care group. If you want to find any of them, go to coloradoselect.com. They're all listed right there. Find them. Go tell them you listen to them on Drive Radio. That helps us and them out immensely. Dan and Niwot, you're next, sir. What's happening?
I was just going to tell you about a traffic ticket I got.
Let's hear it.
When I was young. I was driving north on Kipling, just into Arvada, and all of a sudden there's this car right behind me. It was at night.
Okay.
Bright lights on, tailgating me. So I sped up. I wasn't speeding at the time, so I sped up, and it just stayed right on me, and I sped up some more. Next thing I know, the lights came on. It was a cop. They gave me a ticket for reckless driving.
Really?
Went to court, and the judge threw the book at me, said I was a menace to society and all that stuff. And it was totally provoked by the cop.
Wow. Why just speeding up? I mean, no, I'm not sure that I would have done things much different. If you got somebody with their bright lights on behind you, you're not doing the speed limit, you typically would pick up and go to the speed limit to make sure the guy behind you is not going to get, super torqued off, especially in this day and age. I'm not sure that constitutes reckless driving.
Well, it didn't. And I told the judge when I stood up, I said, it wasn't reckless driving. If you want to charge me with careless, that'd be fine. He said, well, that's very noble of you, but you're a menace to society.
Really? Why did they say that? Have you had a lot of tickets?
No. I had a 4-point.
Was that in the Arvada Municipal Court?
Yes. It was back in the 60s.
I could see that.
Really? Back in the 60s?
I could see that with some of the municipal judges they had.
Oh, man.
I knew a couple of them personally, and they were like hanging judges back then.
Really?
It was kind of a Mickey Mouse court system.
Yeah, it was.
To be honest.
I lost my license, that gave me 12 points, and I lost my license.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it used to be you had to have 3 definite infractions to write reckless.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, reckless speeding would have been fine. Careless would have been fine. I would say, okay, fine.
Wow.
But reckless.
Wow.
I mean.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope we move beyond that. We're gonna talk to Kevin Flesh, and appreciate that, Dan, very much. We're gonna talk to Kevin Flesh, by the way, at noon about some of these things, what your rights are, and I'll give Kevin a few plugs here. If something comes up like what Dan just experienced, and granted that was years and years ago, but if that comes up in today's world, that's what guys like Kevin are floating around for. You call Kevin and say, Kevin, I need some help. And guess what? That's what he'll do. He'll help you with that. We'll talk to him at noon and get more information on how you can get in touch with him. Bill at Highlands Ranch, what's going on, sir?
Yes, this is Bill. I wanted to talk to you. I had a friend passed away a couple years ago.
Okay.
Wife has a 2007 Acura TL she's wanting to sell.
Okay.
It's only got about 30,000 miles on it. And I'm just thinking about maybe buying it, but I wanted to ask some questions about what I should do. It's probably been setting for about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
The condition of the, what amount of service. I haven't checked into what kind of service it had. But anyway, what are the main things I need to look at? The oil?
Yeah. All fluids on an 07, even though it's only got 30,000 miles on it, that car's old enough now. That car's not quite 10 years old, so it's 9 years old at this point. I would go through and change every fluid in it. So from coolant to brakes to engine oil, transmission, all of that, I would go ahead and get it all changed out. Start from scratch so you know exactly where you're at. outside of that, belts, hoses, things like that, realistically, are probably still going to be in pretty good shape. You'd have to have them looked at to be sure. But really, Bill, outside of that, I'm not sure there's a whole lot more you need to do.
Yeah, I'd gather up all our service records, and when you go into your shop and get an inspection, present them the service records, and they can kind of look at everything that you can't see without getting under the vehicle.
Right.
And, just make sure it's okay and where it was left off at services.
But that's a good car, so I would not hesitate to buy that car.
Yeah, it's at a point where it may need a transmission service. I'd change it anyway, so it's just been sitting
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I haven't got the records yet that they have on the vehicle, so I don't know what service has been done, but anyway, you don't think it's made a thing except changing the fluids and that sort of thing?
No.
Yeah, go and have them check it for recalls.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Maybe some recalls.
Maybe, yeah. That car, just as an FYI, though, Bill, on KBB.com, they've got a review process even for the older used cars, which actually is a pretty good thing to look at. It'll tell you pretty well, what an old car is like. In other words, how reliable is it, and so on. That car gets a 9.4 out of 10 on Kelley Blue Book. That's pretty good. So that's a good car.
Okay, that's what I was wanting to find out, guys. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Appreciate the phone call. Let's take a quick break. We'll come right back. Eric, hang tight. Don't go anywhere. We're asking you, what's the worst traffic ticket or traffic stop you've ever had? 303-477-5600. John Rush, Dorsey Johnson, Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Your car has up to 24 different onboard computers, making repairs more complicated than ever. Without the right tools, some of those repairs are nearly impossible. Once again, Extreme Auto Repair in Parker has gone to the next trail for you. Extreme owner Dennis Brewster invested in the very same scanning tools the dealerships use. This is important because by using these specialized scanning tools, they can directly connect your car's computer system to the actual manufacturer for instant diagnostics. Manufacturer specs and all of the up-to-date, detailed repair information your technician needs to properly fix your car. Best of all, they are faster and always cheaper than the dealerships. Extreme Auto Repair, the most technologically advanced car care center in Douglas County. Tell them to listen to KLZ and they'll take 20% off your bill. Call 303-841-1071. 303-841-1071. Extreme Auto Repair in Parker. Going to the extreme for you.
This is Red Merrill for Phoenix Weaponry. Phoenix Weaponry is a weapon manufacturer that services the firearm enthusiast. From precision ARs to suppressors, Phoenix Weaponry can make your dreams come true. Phoenix Weaponry is a full-service gun shop that offers gunsmithing, coating, and modifications to your own weapon. Phoenix Weaponry, family-owned and operating right here in Colorado. If you can dream it, Phoenix Weaponry can build it. Call today, 720-340-2496. Again, that's 720-340-2496. Or visit their website, phoenixweaponry.com. Mention Sports from Colorado and receive 10% off your custom-built weapon.
Ever try to buy an air filter and get lost in catalogs and vehicle descriptions? Well, K&N, the inventor of reusable cotton filters, has got the answer to the mess. Just visit knfilters.com and enter your vehicle identification number off your dashboard or car registration, and K&N will show you the filter that fits your car. It's never been easier to buy a K&N, the filter that helps your car run better.
Geno's with a J is your go-to auto service shop in Littleton for all your car care needs. Needing an oil change? Take advantage of Geno's premium $29.95 oil change and receive a free set of windshield wipers with the mention of this ad. See store for details. Brakes, alignments, or car maintenance. Geno's does it all. In business over 32 years, Geno's offers courtesy vehicles while your car is being serviced. They are conveniently located at Bowles and Platte Canyon in Littleton. Visit them online at GenosAutoservice.com. That's Geno's with a J.
You'll do anything to keep your phone alive, like fashioning an adapter from a hairpin and some used gum. Or get the Blue Fuel portable power bank at Napa for only $18.99. 2 full battery charges for your phone for one low price. For $18.99, the portable power bank will keep your phone fully charged. No hairpins or chewing gum required. Conquer the job with Napa Know-How. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores while supplies last. Offer expires 12/31/15.
How stressful You hear a noise, see a fluid leak, feel something funny, a little light comes on your dash, or your car totally breaks down, and you have no idea what it means, what to do, or how to fix it. With how much we depend on our cars to go about our daily lives, you'd think they'd teach us this stuff in school. Luckily for you, you have us. At Community Auto, we're serious about what we do, and we're darn good at it. Having served Fort Collins and Northern Colorado for over 20 years, our family-owned and operated AAA-approved shop has family that extends far beyond our garage doors. At Community Auto, we put the emphasis on care, not just auto repair. Ladies, ever felt intimidated going into an auto repair shop? Scared you'll be taken advantage of? Our female staff is friendly, knowledgeable, and will thoroughly explain and educate
10 seconds, guys.
what's going on with your car. You'll be in the know and in turn be taken care of. Because at Community Auto, we know that a happy car will get you far.
Brandon Kennedy, 560 Dorsey Johnson from Nevada West, and
I used to sing for
yeah, good job, Doris. There might some of this might still be around by Christmas, and the weather report I got today said we might have a little bit of snow later on Christmas Day, heading into Friday or heading into the Saturday. Which, by the way, we will not be live next Saturday. We're giving everybody, myself included, the day off after Christmas, so everybody's waving hooray. I think we'll spend time with their family and their friends and so on. A lot of us have family that'll either come to town or you go out of town or what have you. So next week will be a best of show.
Go sit in the goose pit.
Yeah, whatever.
Go on my goose call.
Right, anything. Be all sorts of fun things next Saturday. So next week will be a best of, which I'm going to tell you then. If you've got a car question, you better call today. 303-477-5600. Let's go to Eric, who is next. Eric, welcome. What's happening, sir?
Hey guys, so I got two ticket stories for you here.
Let's hear them.
So you'll appreciate both of these, John, since you have larger commercial vehicles. About 10 years ago, I had a ticket in a semi.
Okay.
Logbook violation. Now, it was a fluke because I forgot to take into account the time zone change.
Got it.
And I was going off of my cell phone instead of going off of my clock on the dash.
Got it.
So this trooper pulled me over, and it was just, the orders he pulled me over was completely at random. He was bored. He even told me he was bored. He actually hadn't stopped anybody in like 2 hours.
You need somebody to talk to, huh?
In Wyoming.
Yeah, pretty much. No, this was actually in Kansas.
Well, okay, well, same thing.
Same thing.
You need someone to chat with, and Eric's the guy.
Oh, I have one for Wyoming also.
Okay.
He pulls me over, and he says, and he goes through everything and handed my logbook. I'm not thinking anything. I'm thinking, I'm perfectly legal.
Right.
I got 45 minutes to get to my end of my day.
Right.
He comes back and he says, got a problem. I said, what's that? He says, you're almost an hour over on your hours of service. And I said, what? And he showed me, and I'm looking like impossible. And I grabbed my cell phone and I said, see, here's the time. It matches up. And he says, no. He says, yeah, it matches up to Kansas time, but you're based out of Colorado. Your hours are based on the time in Colorado. You're going an hour off.
So you went into Central.
Yeah, I was in Central time.
Yeah.
And so I was,
technically an hour off. Yeah.
Yeah, technically an hour off. $2,500 ticket.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
For hours of service violation, and what they can, at that point, they considered a falsified logbook.
Oh, geez.
Went to court, pleaded stupidity, actually handed the judge my phone and showed him and explained to him what I had done. And the judge just kind of looked at me, kind of tapped his fingers, and reduced it from $2,500 to $1,250.
Cut it in half. Oh, still, that's a huge ticket.
Yeah.
So who pays that?
Yeah,
You?
yes, sir.
Who pays that? You
No,
or the
I
company?
paid that one. I wrote a check for that one.
Oh, man.
And then came back, and my boss kind of looked at me, and he says, "I bet you remember to check the correct clock again, don't you?"
Wow.
Now, Like I said, I have one for Wyoming.
Okay, so wait a minute. The rest of the story, were you allowed to get to your destination, or did you have to pull over and get and wait, or what?
The trooper escorted me down the road to the truck stop, but it was actually about 10 minutes down the road instead of the one I wanted to go to. It was 45 minutes down the road, and he put a little orange sticker on my window that said "Vehicle out of service."
Oh, you're kidding me! Unbelievable.
And
just for everybody listening, real quick, too, which we need to make sure everybody understands, how many hours a day legally, Eric, can you drive?
11
hours. So you were driving 12 instead of 11, which, by the way, a lot of people this next week when they travel for Christmas will probably put in way more than that when they're traveling. But you as a commercial truck driver can only do 11.
Right. And a lot of those people who probably put in a lot more than that aren't used to doing it.
Correct.
Which makes it even deadlier.
Which makes it even worse.
Anyhow, yeah. He put this little orange sticker on my window that said, that I was placed out of service. And he, since he only had about 6 hours left in his shift, he actually told the guy who was coming on after him where I was parked at to come and get the little notice in at what time I could legally drive.
Oh, man. So you were not leaving no matter what. They had you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had my company information and everything else. They had come looking for me.
Yep, they had you.
Yeah. So now regarding Wyoming, I happen to
make it quick. We got 1 minute. Make it quick.
Coming back from Montana, I happened to get again a random stop. It was a Wyoming state trooper with a trainee in the car, and it was a trainee for commercial vehicle inspections. Not only did they do every line item on the inspection report, they did it meticulously. A typical level 1 roadside inspection, which is all the bells and whistles.
Right.
It's about 20 to 25 minutes. Mine took an hour and 20 minutes.
Wow.
Because they went over every single item. Now, there was no defects, so he couldn't give me a ticket for anything. But he actually told me, he goes, yeah, this is his first day out doing inspections. So I want to make sure he learns it correctly.
Wow. And an hour and 20 minutes out of your time, then off you go. Meantime, you're losing money. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No comment.
So that was a fun day.
Yeah. Eric, appreciate the phone call very much. Guys, with that, second hour of Drive Radio coming up next. Wayne and Loveland, hang tight. You've always got great stories. I want to hear yours. Don't go away. You'll enjoy hearing Wayne's stories, by the way. We got a couple lines open, 303-477-5600. What's the worst ticket you ever got? We'll be back right after this. Don't go away. John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Still haven't had enough? Go to drive-radio.com. Email your questions and comments, download previous programs, and find lots of useful information, including your nearest Colorado Select Auto Care Center. That's drive-radio.com. Thanks for listening to Drive Radio, sponsored by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers on KLZ 560.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for their highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business, so Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers heard on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. For the complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com.
Hi, this is Scott Watley. This weekend on Live Again, my guest is Mike Golick from ESPN's Mike and Mike. Hear how Mike was able to use his own stem cells for therapy that changed his life right here at the Premier Stem Cell Institute in Johnstown, Colorado. Live Again, Saturdays, 4:30 p.m., Sundays, 9:30 a.m. Live Again is brought to you by the Premier Stem Cell Institute.
On the next Wake Up with Steve Curtis, we'll take a look at the state of Obamacare right here in Colorado with Art King from Watchdog.org and Linda Gorman from the Independence Institute. Also, Dr. Lance Azumi from the Pacific Research Institute on the recent test results in Colorado schools now that Common Core is the state standard for teaching. It all begins at 6 a.m. on the next Wake Up with Steve Curtis.
John Rush here on the next Rush to Reason. What are the 10 worst Christmas songs ever? We'll talk about that. We'll take all of your calls. We'll have all of your traffic and weather updates with the strident conservative David Leach. That's Denver's Afternoon Rush, Rush to Reason, every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on KLZ 560.
KLZ AM 560, KLZ HD Denver. Listen live at KLZ560radio.com. KLZ 560, a Crawford Broadcasting God and Country Station.
This is USA Radio News. I'm Chris Barnes.
We passed a balanced budget for the first time since 2001.
That is Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell in the GOP weekly address, looking back on 2015 and some of the highlights for Republicans on Capitol Hill.
We reformed No Child Left Behind and Common Core mandates, replacing a broken law with the most significant K-12 education reform in more than a dozen years. We addressed America's crumbling roads and bridges, passing the first long-term transportation bill in a decade.
President Obama's weekly address giving a top 10 list of administration highlights for 2015, including the improved economy, an increase in health care coverage, action on climate change, the Iranian nuclear deal, and the formation of the coalition against ISIS.
And the number one reason I'm optimistic going into 2016, it's you, the American people.
You're listening to USA Radio News.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-479-2697. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-479-2697.
KLZ Denver.
KLZ is proud to announce our newest addition to ATX, Maximize Your Mortgage with Darren Foster. Darren Foster co-founded American Liberty Mortgage here in Denver in 2003. At first, a three-person operation, they now employ over 50 loan officers licensed in 3 different states. On Maximize Your Mortgage, you learn the truth about the various types of home financing available. Darren will give you the pros and cons of each, including the often misunderstood reverse mortgage, so that you will become a better consumer. Listen to Maximize Your Mortgage with Darren Foster, Mondays at 2:30 during ATX. Ask the experts on KLZ 560.
Join us during the afternoon rush, weekdays from 3 to 6 on KLZ 560.
Being an expert on general automotive knowledge, what would the correct ignition timing be on a 1955 Bel Air Chevrolet with a 327 cubic inch engine and a full-barrel carburetor?
It is a trick question.
What's this?
The Chevy didn't make it 327 to 55. The 327 didn't come out to 62. And it wasn't offered in the Bel Air with a 4-barrel car to 64. However, in 1964, the correct ignition timing will be 4 degrees before top dead center.
Get ready for another hour of Drive Radio, brought to you by Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. Got a question for the experts? Give them a call, 303-477-5600. Now it's time to pop the hood and get our hands dirty. Drive Radio on KLZ 560 The Source.
And this is Drive Radio, KLZ 560, John Rush, Dorsey Johnson from Arvada West. And if you've just tuned in on Sunday afternoon, thank you very much for doing so, but you cannot call in live because we did this show the day before on Saturday. You can email us, which a lot of folks do, and I should have mentioned this in the first hour. Any question you have that you do not want to ask on air, we'll actually answer it. You can ask it off air, we'll answer it on air, or if it's Sunday, you can ask it, and I'll just get back to you as quickly as I can. You can go to drive-radio.com, check out the website. All of our new car reviews are there, everything we do on YouTube. We've got some tips, some tricks. We've got all of our sponsors listed there. All of our Colorado Select members are there. Everything you need to know all in one spot, drive-radio.com. Send us an email, and we'll get you answered as quickly as we can. Let's go right to the phones. We've got some lines open, 303-477-5600. We're talking, one of our questions of the day, I should say, is what's the worst traffic ticket you ever received? Wayne in Loveland, you're next.
Yeah, this may not be the worst one I ever got, but it's the most interesting one.
Let's hear it.
Just visualize. 1975, I'm driving a fun purple 71 Challenger RT.
Ooh.
2 ladies in the car, sitting on a 1-way, 3-lane main street.
Okay.
67 Mustang pulls up beside me. Light turns green, the Mustang nails it, and I just drive away. Next light, same scenario. Mustang beside me, light turns green, he nailed it. I just drive away. The lady in the passenger seat looks at me and says, "You're not going to let a Mustang do that to you, are you?" Next light, I sat up a little higher in the seat, grabbed that pistol grip a little stronger, light turned green, and it was nothing but clutch and gears until the red lights came on behind me. Anyhow, you had that tiny little instant where you thought, I can outrun him.
Yeah.
And then reality hits people over.
Yeah, the reality hits of yeah, I can, but he has a radio and I'm not going to.
Yeah, and I'm right in the middle of town. Anyhow, he flips me over and I sit in the passenger seat, and that's what they do in South Dakota. And he starts getting his little notebook out, and he's jotting stuff down. He's got my license clipped to his clipboard, and he says, he says, I could get you for drag racing, exhibition driving, careless driving, endangerment, speeding, and a host of other things. But I'm just going to write you a ticket for 10 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Wow.
And after all the pleasantries were done with me saying yes or no sir about a billion times, he says, do you have any questions? And I said, yeah, why did you stop me instead of the Mustangs? And he looks me right in the eye and he said, the Mustang was losing. He's not going to challenge you again. And he says, and I caught you, and you're not going to do it again either, are you? And I said, no, sir.
That was actually a really good policeman, because that was a teachable moment to a young man.
Oh man! So anyhow, I was pumped up, bragging to my friends that I only got this 10 mile an hour speed limit. The next day, and they said, "Well, you know what the deal was, don't you?" And I said, "No." Well, back in those days in Aberdeen, South Dakota, if you got a ticket more than 10 miles an hour, the policeman had to write a report. It was 2:30 in the morning. It was shift change at 3 o'clock.
He didn't want to do that.
He didn't want to be sitting there for an hour writing everything he was going to have to write.
He wanted to go home.
Yes, he did. So,
well, that's a good story. That's a good story. Good deal. Yeah. Wayne, enjoy the story. That's awesome. Merry Christmas to you.
All right, Merry Christmas.
You bet. Have a great week. We appreciate it very much. Let's go to Muhammad, who is next. Muhammad in Aurora, what's going on, sir?
I got a 2002 Ford F-150.
Okay.
When I turn the knob on, 4-wheel drive, the light comes on, but does not kick on the 4-wheel drive.
Okay, so light is on, but you have no 4-wheel drive.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
First thing I do with that is take it. Do you have a regular service shop?
Yeah.
Since it's the electronic 4-wheel drive, I'd take it in and have it scanned with a scan tool. There's usually some trouble codes in what we call the GEM module or the transfer case module, depending on which one you have in that car. And that can lead them to whether it's a switch problem or a transfer case shift motor problem.
Right.
All right, okay.
Once they scan it and decipher some trouble codes, it's fairly simple to figure out.
All right. As long as it's not transfer case, that's fine.
Yeah, I doubt if it's a transfer case. Typically on those, it's something that's controlling the transfer case that's just not engaging that the motor's not engaging to get into 4-wheel drive is typically what's happening. Is the light on the dash flashing, or is it on solid?
No, it's on solid.
It's on solid. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Dorsey's on the right track. Get it scanned, have it looked at, and out in Aurora, we've got several shops that can service that. Just go to coloradoselect.com to find one near you.
Thanks.
All right, Mohammed, appreciate it very much. Let's go to Dennis, who's up next. He's got a CB story for us, and then we've got a couple lines open, 303-477-5600. Dennis, what's going on?
Morning, John and Dorsey.
Good morning.
Good. Hey, I didn't get a chance to call in last week, but I listened to the show. And I was wondering if you guys or any of your listeners, especially Eric, had heard of the Montfort legend back in the day.
Montfort legend?
Yeah, that the inside lane of the interstate was called the Montfort lane. And that's because their trucks had the largest Cat engines in them that you could buy. Then the shop took them in and tuned them up so they would run well over 100 miles an hour fully loaded. And these trucks would run at night. You stayed out of the inside lane because these guys were hauling the mail, and you could tell they were coming because their stacks were glowing.
A lot of swinging beef in there.
Absolutely.
I no. In fact, Eric, if you're still listening, which I'm sure you are, if you've heard of that, let us know. Or anybody else listening, if you've heard of that, let us know. 303-477-5600. Dennis, I've lived here my whole life, and no, I've never heard that.
Because I had heard that more than once out on Interstate 76 or Interstate 80 at night, that you just stayed out of the inside lane because these trucks were coming. And I've never seen one, and that just makes me wonder if that legend was true or not.
Interesting. You know what? Let's find out. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
Kind of an interesting story.
It is. If that's true, that's an interesting story. I do know. This will be something a lot of folks will find interesting. At one point in time, my dad and myself, we knew a couple of the guys that worked at the RTD bus garage in Boulder. This would be clear back in the 70s and 80s. And I know back then, what RTD would do is they would buy a new bus. They would run it until it was out of warranty. The minute it was out of warranty, these guys in the shop would order up the biggest Detroit diesel with the 871 blower on top, and they would take out the old Detroit, that was in there. They would put in the big Detroit, and that's why those buses back then at the speed limit of 55, those things could pull Davidson Mesa Hill at 75, no problem.
Wow!
And they would do, and that is a actual story I just told you.
So much for the fuel economy, huh?
Yeah, they didn't care back then. They wanted those things up and over the hill as fast as they could go. And those drivers, and I don't know if this is true now in today's world or not, but I'm guessing it is, because you can typically get behind an RTD. They will run about 8 miles an hour over the speed limit, and I think they've got some sort of an agreement with the local jurisdictions and the state patrol that they can run that fast and not get pulled over.
Interesting.
So on US 36, they can run about 72, 73, and you'll never see one pulled over running that fast.
Interesting. I don't doubt that a bit.
So, and that I also know is true. And I don't know about the state patrol, but I know of some of the local municipalities, Westminster, et cetera, that is what they let them do.
Very interesting. Well, thanks, John.
You're very welcome, Dennis. Merry Christmas. Thanks for calling, brother. I appreciate it very much. Let's do this. We'll see if anybody else knows about the Montfort legend. When we come back, we'll take some more calls, 303-477-5600. What's your worst traffic ticket story? Or, like in Dennis's case, maybe you've got a CB story. We did have somebody that contacted Larry during the week that said that a lot of the guys now, instead of using CBs, and Eric, maybe you can attest to this also, they're using what they call a MERS system, M-U-R-S. I don't know exactly what that stands for, but I'll look it up here in just a minute. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, take some more calls. 303-477-5600, John Rush Drive Radio with Dorsey Johnson, Ravada West, sitting next to me right here on KLZ 560.
Know-how! Inside every quart of Castrol GTX conventional oil, there's an engineer. Well, not a real engineer, because that would be weird, but the work of an engineer who developed Tri-Shield technology to protect your engine from harmful sludge. And all of that engineering is only $339 a quart at Napa. Just $339 for Castrol GTX. Conquer the job with Napa Know-how. General states pricing. Sales prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees at participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 12/31/15. Life has consequences, and a consequence of a poorly maintained fleet of work vehicles is the unfortunate timing of a breakdown. Your customers are counting on you, and one breakdown could be a deal breaker for the customer your driver is trying to reach. Maybe that customer has clients of his own who are demanding an explanation, and so on. How long do you expect to be in business when your customers think you are unreliable? Your solution? Tilden Total Car Care. Using state-of-the-art software to monitor each vehicle in your fleet, Tilden can actually anticipate maintenance items before they become major repairs or ultimately breakdowns. Protect your profits, minimize downtime, and sleep better. Call Tilden Total Car Care today and ask about their fleet maintenance program. Call 303-797-7977. 303-797-7977. Tilden Total Car Care, helping as many people as they can, as fast as they can. Federal in Bellevue and Inglewood, and 6th and Peoria in Aurora.
Today's cars and trucks are very complicated and can be expensive to repair. At Arvada West Auto and Truck, we can help you to understand the complex nature of repairs. We specialize in computer repairs. Maybe you've tried another shop and you still have the same problem. Let our highly experienced technicians at Arvada West Auto help you. Call 303-422-1065. We're going like wildfire. The truck, 11752 West 64th Avenue in West Arvada. Or visit us on the web at arvadawestautoandtruck.com. 303-422-1065.
I want my mileage back. Here's the inside information to get your gas mileage back. Inside your engine, carbon builds up, clogging the injectors and combustion area. If you want your fuel system clean with just one tank of fuel, use what the inside car guys use most. It's called BG44K. In fact, servicemen...
I just found it interesting how quickly the phones have blown up over this topic.
BG products. Go to BGFindAShop.com. That's BGFindAShop.com. BG.
Colorado Select Car Care Centers present 560 ways to care for your car. Especially important this time of year is to check the tire tread depth. Whether you prefer all-season radials or snow tires, just make sure you have enough tread. If you're not sure, stop at any Colorado Select Car Care Center and they'll check it for you. Colorado Select is a
10 seconds, guys.
For ASE certified master technicians driven to provide exceptional customer service, find a Colorado Select Car Care Center near you at coloradoselect.org.
John Rush, Dorsey Johnson, Drive Radio, KLZ 560. We're looking for stories on the Montfort truck legend, which we've got several that have called in, so we'll hear more about this. So, Howard, you're next. Fill us in.
Good month of music, guys. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Back in the 70s, I was teaching back east and supported that what was called by driving semis.
Okay.
Back then, teachers weren't paid nearly what they are today. So we had to boost our income pretty quick. Worked for a couple different companies, and even back in that group, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, I heard Montfort. Now, as far as glowing stats are concerned, I've never seen a stat glow on a tractor. Over the road tractor.
Right.
I know they look well, and even back there, we heard it. So yes, it really is true. Of course, now, like I guess the Portuguese have a company, and like everything else foreign in this country,
Yep. Yeah, and a lot of them are governed now. They only go a certain speed, and they've changed a lot of that now because of fuel and so on. So, yeah, a lot of that is gone by the wayside.
Yeah, so much for clamping off the return line, get a little more fuel in it.
Yeah, those days are over.
Yeah, that used to work. As far as citations are concerned, that's one I see that I've always wanted to speed trap, and unfortunately, my buddy was driving in front of me, and his pickup, just this past summer, actually, Highway 85, between Pierce and Run.
Okay.
It was and has been for a long time, at least a couple decades, a speed trapper. They have, unfortunately, these people sitting in black and whites there who are allowing them to black and white, but because of some sort.
Yes.
And they just run it as a moneymaker, unfortunately. Wow. It's somewhat of a disgrace to law enforcement officers.
I didn't know that. That's a good tip. Next time I'm out that way, I'll
kind of reference back to eating a lot of donuts.
Sitting in a car.
Too
much.
They're even much for moving around too much.
Yeah, exactly.
I really want to be careful. This is your input because
Howard, I got to drop you. Your cell phone's breaking up really bad. I can barely hear you. Appreciate the story, though, very much. If that clears up and you want to add anything, give us a call, 303-477-5600. We have one line open. Mike is up next in Longmont with a story on Montfort. Mike, welcome, sir.
Hey, John, nice to talk to you again.
Thank you.
So John, if you ever stumble across an old beast trailer, and it has to be an old one,
okay,
and you'll see guys using them for storage and stuff in some of these farms, look on the front, and now the front has got a big window in it for putting the reefer unit in there.
Right.
But back day, they put a big block of ice, and you'd run that trailer, and wind would blow over the ice and cool the beast in the trailer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so now you know why the guys have to do 100 miles an hour, because you know everything that comes. So John, I've got a quick ticket story, or lack of a ticket story, that'll really make you laugh if you got a second.
Let's hear it.
I wasn't hauling beef, I was hauling Pepperidge Farm cookies back.
Okay.
And I'm heading back into Colorado, where I live, of course, you know, not too far from you. Heading back into Colorado, and at the Kansas state line, I pull in, and the scale master looks at me and says, well, gee, you know, you're nowhere near the limit. What are you hauling? And I says, well, I'm hauling Pepperidge Farm cookies. And he says, oh, what kind? I said, well, I don't know, it's kind of got like some chocolate chip and some macadamia nuts. I see pictures of them on the box, and I was loading them. And he pets his stomach, and he says, now that I'm looking at the scale, you're about 14 ounces overweight. You better bring a box in so you'll be a legal weight. So I brought in a box of cookies, he let me go, and off I went.
That's a pretty good story, actually. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, John, thanks for doing what you do. We really appreciate the show.
Well,
thank you, Larry.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mike. You have a great Christmas. Appreciate the phone call, and get off of a ticket with a box of cookies. I don't know if that works today anymore. Box of donuts, maybe?
Donuts.
Box of Krispy Kremes? I don't know. Anyways, line open, 303-477-5600. Let's go to Lyle in Littleton, who's next. Lyle, welcome, sir.
Hey, John.
How we doing?
We're again here. Got a story for you on tickets.
Let's hear it.
Here's an irony for you. Back in the late 70s, I had a big bad Honda 350. I used to drive to work and back, and the baffles in the muffler were, getting a little bit corroded, and so it had a little louder sound to it, but nothing too extreme.
Okay.
And they set up a noise trap on Sheridan Boulevard, and the one cop had the microphone out there.
Oh yeah.
Taking readings, and then they pick up cop another block or two down, and so they take a reading, and and the second cop pulls me over, and he's writing me up a ticket. And I said, "This isn't loud, and oh yeah, it was just over the noise limit, so many decibels, and so he's writing me a ticket, and we get done, and just as we're kind of parting ways, big Harley comes by with straight pipes, no muffler. And it was one of those, have a nice day, sir. And I said, what? And he said, have a nice day, sir. And we can't even hear each other. And the Harley goes on by, and they never even give him a ticket.
Wow.
So then I had to go down to the shop. I had to get a set of mufflers. And, of course, in those days, a lot of them anyway, the exhaust pipes and mufflers, one assembly, and put it on and go to a noise testing center to get it tested.
To get it compliant, basically?
Get compliance so they could, complete the fix-it ticket, in effect. And I thought, this is like a parallel universe. We're standing there, can't even hear each other talk to each other.
Wow. Yeah.
And this Harley goes by, and they never even pull him over.
Yeah, what's wrong with that picture? So
yeah.
Had you heard the Montfort legend?
Definitely, yeah. Since I spent a lot of time on I-76 and I-80, the Montfort Lane was infamous, or famous, whichever way you want to put it.
Right.
So yeah, you had to keep your eyes open. If you're out in the passing lane, you couldn't stand there, couldn't be there too long. Except the other thing that you had to be careful of, not just the beef haulers, but grain trucks. And so in that area out through there, a lot of grain trucks hauling corn and wheat and milo and everything.
Right.
And they'd get up and really haul a mail too.
Everything I'm reading on the internet, I've been looking this stuff up as some of the folks have been calling in, and Dennis is right. I mean, all you guys are right. You read about this even online. There's some old truckers that have some stories online talking about the left lane carrier is what they nicknamed them. The left lane carrier is what I'm finding online. So yeah, it's very true that they They basically ran that left lane about as fast as they could.
They're well known for having that, I guess. Now they're well known for having a crummy baseball team.
Yeah. That's another good show.
That's a whole other show, Dorsey.
Yeah. Plenty of stories on that. But and you had to keep your eye on them because you could look back in your mirror and there'd be somebody back there a ways,
right?
And a minute or two later they're on your back bumper. And
wow!
You know how the truckers are. They play that game where they intimidate you, and so they'll ride your tailpipe. To get you out of the passing lane.
Yep. They push out of the way, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that's good. I'd never heard that legend before. So you know what? Every week I learn something new.
It's famous.
Yeah, really. Yeah, it is. I'm learning that more and more now. Unbelievable. So Dorsey has a point, though. They did really well back in the day on that.
Should have stuck with that.
I think they should have stuck there and let somebody else handle baseball. But anyways, side note.
Well, you guys probably know this, but when they changed the speed limit to 55.
Yeah.
Yes, and with the so-called fuel shortage, oil shortage and oil and everything,
right?
And all the truckers, you listen to them and you talk to them, and they all complain because most of those trucks are geared for 65 or 75,
right?
And so to go 55, they had to drop down a gear or two,
right?
And their mileage, fuel economy was even less than it would have been otherwise.
Yeah, no comment.
I think that was more for the public, he thought, than the truckers. Probably didn't think about it at all.
At the end of the day, it didn't do anything.
It was probably
lots of frustration.
We follow policy regardless if it makes sense.
I'm not a crook. That's I
am not a crook.
I got a quick CB story since you mentioned that.
Let's hear it.
When I was working down Colorado Springs and driving back to Littleton, it was a snowy, snowpack, icy night, and it was snowing good, and we were doing about 25 miles an hour.
Okay.
And a guy came by me in a little Subaru station wagon, and he's probably doing 50 or 55, something like that. And I thought, man, if he has to stop or turn or whatever, there's no way. And just after that, up in the through the snow and the storm, I could see some taillights and headlights spinning around. And I thought, oh, this doesn't look good. And I get up there, and a guy in a Cadillac on the southbound side had lost control, skidded across the median, and ended up sideways in the northbound lanes. And the guy in the Subaru T-boned him.
Ooh.
It broke the Cadillac in half, and not completely in half, but it broke it and spun it around where it was. The opening was like a 90-degree angle between the front end and the rear end.
Wow.
And I got my pickup stopped, and I had four-wheel drive, which is, good, but we had to pull over, and it shut down the interstate. And of course, in those days, cell phones and stuff,
right.
If you're rich, you could afford one, but,
right.
And so I got on my CB, and I just went to Channel 9, emergency channel, and just hoping, and I got a landline, because it was just on the north edge of Colorado Springs, and got a hold of a base station and called it in, told them where the next to that one exit, and they got the emergency responders there pretty quickly.
Wow.
So it was one of those deals where it was your CB was your companion a lot of times.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Yeah, now it's a cell phone.
Yeah.
Changes. Yep. Good story. Appreciate it very much.
Okay.
Hey, you're welcome. Appreciate the call. Merry Christmas, Gary. Appreciate you calling in. Very good. Or Lyle, I should say. Very good story. I enjoyed that a lot. We've got one line open right now, 303-477-5600. Gary wants to talk about the new I-70 lane. George is going to have another ticket story for us. We have one line open. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away. Drive Radio with John Rush and Dorsey Johnson, KLZ 560.
Today's cars and trucks are very complicated and can be expensive to repair. At Arvada West Auto and Truck, we can help you to understand the complex nature of repairs. We specialize in computer repairs. Maybe you've tried another shop and you still have the same problem. Let our highly experienced technicians at Arvada West Auto help you. Call 303-422-1065 or stop by and see us at Arvada West Auto and Truck, 11752 West 64th Avenue, West Arvada. Or visit us on the web at arvadawestautoandtruck.com. 303-422-1065.
Geno's with a J is your go-to auto service shop in Littleton for all your car care needs. Need an oil change? Take advantage of Geno's premium $29.95 oil change and receive a free set of windshield wipers with the mention of this ad. See store for details. Brakes, alignments, or car maintenance. Geno's does it all. In business over 32 years, Geno's offers courtesy vehicles while your car is being serviced. They are conveniently located at Bowles and Platte Canyon in Littleton. Visit them online at genosautoservice.com. That's Geno's with a J.
Know-how! We'll do anything to keep your phone alive, like fashioning an adapter from a hairpin and some used gum. Or get the Blue Fuel portable power bank at Napa for only $18.99. 2 full battery charges for your phone for one low price. For $18.99, the portable power bank will keep your phone fully charged. No hairpins or chewing gum required. Conquer the job with Napa Know-how. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores while supplies last. Offer expires 12/31/15.
John Rush here. I want to talk to you again about your pets. And pets are very much a part of our family. It's one of the things that we talk about a lot amongst ourselves. There's very few pet owners I've ever met where the person hates the pet. Because typically, if that's the case, you don't own one. If you own a pet, they're a part of the family, right? It doesn't really matter whether it's large animal, small animal, cats, dogs, birds, you name it. They're a part of the family, right, guys?
Oh, absolutely. Our Tucker, our little Shih Tzu, he's with us everywhere.
Okay, so in your case, Dan, that's a dog. I mean, I've got a yellow lab. Doesn't require a lot of grooming. I mean, you can wash him and do those sorts of things, but yours actually needs some grooming from time to time, correct?
Oh, yes, and the Shih Tzu has to have the proper Shih Tzu cut.
Okay, guess what? Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center will do just that. They've got a full grooming department. Actually, I've been in the center, and the cool part about this is a 2-level veterinarian clinic. So you walk in on the main level, you can drop off your little Fido, whatever your animal's name is. And the cool thing about it too, this is something just as a side note. Most of the time when you walk in and you're trying to fill out paperwork, typically you've got a leash and it's on your arm and you're trying to fight the dog or whatever you have as far as a pet goes. You're doing all that while you're filling out the paperwork, right, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, guess what these guys thought of? There's little hooks on the wall. So when you walk into the counter and you actually start filling out all the paperwork, you can actually put the leash on the hook and you're set and you can actually stop and fill out paperwork. Amazing.
That's actually thinking of the customer first.
Thank you. That's exactly what they do at Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center. The phone number 303-708-8050. Dr. Bill and Nancy Morrill are the owners there. They're great long-term supporters of Drive Radio, and I would encourage you, please support them. Take your pets there. You will not find a better experience at 8681 East Lincoln Avenue in Lone Tree. The web address, LoneTreeVet.com.
Every car has a transmission, and every transmission needs servicing, but most drivers ignore their transmission. Don't fix what ain't broke, as they say. Larry's Automotive is the area's most respected transmission and driveline repair facility, and they'll tell you that most of the expensive repairs they do could easily have been avoided with regular scheduled maintenance. Maybe they were told by a mechanic that their transmission fluid was getting dark, or maybe there was a slight hesitation between gears. Whatever the case, they are now faced with expensive repairs. Larry's technicians are ATRA and ASE certified, and their warranty covers you even if you're out of town. And while there's nobody better for transmission repair than Larry's Automotive, the truth is,
You got about 15 seconds, guys.
good maintenance instead. Larry's Automotive and Transmission Repair, the Driveline Pros on Bradburn Boulevard in Westminster. Call 303-427-2108. 303-427-2108.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bell.
John Rush, Dorsey Johnson, Drive Radio, KLZ 560, having a great day on the, this is our last show, not forever, but of 2015.
Yeah.
Because next week we're going to replay a best of show, and then we'll be into the January.
You know what they say, the best can always last.
That's right. So here we are.
We're here.
Last show of 2015, and we've done this for 20 plus years. So no, we're not going anywhere. We'll be back next year for 2016, right?
We'll be back.
We'll be back. We're not going anywhere. No, we're going to keep trucking right along. 303-477-5600 is our phone number. George and Thornton, you're next, sir.
Hey, the whole Montfort Lane thing, that actually lasted well up into the 90s.
Really?
Oh yeah. In fact, in the mid '90s, I worked for a company here in Denver that one of the Montfort's backhauls was for us.
Okay.
And there was a driver, and you know, there's obviously no way what he did was legal, but they would load out of Greeley and unload in New York City, there at Hunts Point. Then they would go down to Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philly, pick up their backhaul that came back here to Denver. Now, the trailer was preloaded. And the only thing on it was they had to be to us at 6 o'clock on Monday morning. It was not uncommon for us to come in at 9 on Sunday night, and the truck would be there, the doors open, backed into the door. If you walked over and put your hand on the hood would be cold to the touch.
Really?
And we had one driver that we used to see every week for quite a while, actually, because they had two loads. One would be on Monday, one would be on Thursday. And we had one guy come in on Sunday, and I jokingly told him, I said, well, I guess I'll see you next Sunday. He says, not if I can help it. And I said, what's that mean? He said, oh, nothing. He said, I'm just kidding with you. Yeah, actually, I saw him on Thursday morning.
Wow. How long the bacon?
Yeah.
Yeah, he left us probably about 8 o'clock in the morning, went up to Greeley, swapped trailers, and he was back in Denver at, shortly before 6 a.m. Thursday. Dorsey, you brought up, you're saying a couple hours ago about some of the judges,
Yes,
back in the day.
Yes.
Do you remember, I think his name was Rehnquist?
Yes.
It would have been like the late 80s. So I had the brief pleasure of dating his daughter.
Wow.
And accidentally broke her heart.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Not good.
No, that was Daddy's little girl. And I happened to, about a week before I broke her heart, happened to get a speeding ticket.
Oh, no.
He happened to be the judge.
Oh, no.
3 months later, he was the judge I went before, and he didn't recognize the name, he recognized the face. And then he looked at me, he kind of scowled a little bit, and he called me up to his bench there, up to the bench, and he covered the microphone, and he says, did you date my daughter a couple months ago? And I says, yeah. And he says, oh, okay. So the DA presented his side of the case, I gave my side of the case. The judge looked at me, and when all was said and done, he tripled the $65 fine.
Kangaroo court.
Yeah, it was a $65 fine. I was 19 years old. The fine was $65 and 2 points. He couldn't triple the points.
But he tripled the fine. Right.
Yeah, he tripled the fine.
So moral of that story, don't date the judge's daughter?
Or don't break her heart. Yeah, because he actually looked at me, and when he found me guilty, and he set the fine, and the DA actually looked at him and raised, and it was a male DA at the time, and he looked at him, kind of raised his eyebrows, and the judge looked at me and he says, I hope you learned your lesson.
Wow. So that was really kangaroo court for sure.
Oh yeah, that was. What's that?
You could have got Judge Byrne. Could have asked for him.
Yeah.
I didn't know any better back then.
But I didn't know who the judge was going to be.
Yeah, you didn't know any better. That's right.
And I was defending myself.
That's right.
I was a dumb 19-year-old.
You didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Good story.
The Montfort lane was, up until Montfort pretty much went out of business, or up until Montfort stopped truck with the trucking side, the Montfort lane was well known. I could give you a couple of good stories of running with the Montfort trucks too.
Interesting.
I had a girlfriend that went to school in Hastings, Nebraska, and I used to go up there once a month to visit her, or she was going to college up there. Mm-hmm. And I ran in my pickup at the time with a Montfort truck, and I couldn't even keep up with him.
Wow.
I mean, we were at 76 and I crossed 80, and at the time, it was 55 still when this happened. It was 5 hours, Denver to Hastings, Nebraska, and I made it in under 4.
Wow.
So,
that's flying.
Yeah, and they were doing most of it in the middle of the night, too.
Yeah. Wow, that's flying.
Those stories are...
that's good.
If you want the trucking message boards, there's a lot of stories about that.
Good story. That's great. So, appreciate that, George. Okay. Thanks very much. Merry Christmas to you. Let's go to Gary, who's next. Gary, welcome. What's going on, sir?
Oh, hi, John.
Hey, what's up, man? Merry Christmas, Gary.
Same to you, both of you.
Thanks.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Can you think of any good or service that you don't know what the price, or at least a reasonable approximation of the price will be until after you consume it? For instance, you buy a pizza, you eat the pizza, and then they tell you what the price tag is. Can you think of anything, any kind of good or service where you don't know what the price will be until after you consume it?
Only if you go to a really fancy restaurant and the old menu says market price and you're dumb enough to not ask on the front side. That's about the only other example I can think of.
Yeah, and you have the opportunity to ask. So anyway, the reason why I'm asking this, I'm sitting up here in Winter Park and I'm thinking, I'm going to drive home tonight, and there's this new lane, this 14-mile stretch where you can drive on basically on the shoulder for a toll, and they tell you, well, it could be somewhere between $3 and $30. Yeah. You don't know.
Nope. And it varies. And here's the other thing, Gary. It's varying, which means, now if you enter and let's say it's $5, and by the time you exit it, it's gone up to 10. You will only pay the 5. The next guy in will pay, of course, the 15. But to your point, you're not going to know what that price is.
Yeah, and I don't even know how they would track when you got on in that lane. I mean, you could enter the lane at any point in time.
Well, that's another one they'll bill you for, so they've got cameras that'll watch.
Yeah, they're eyeballing you some way, somehow. And I've not driven that yet. So if you come back, and whether you use it or not, you need to call us. We won't be on next week, but the week after, that first week of January, call us and tell us how that works and what it looks like, and what if there's any signage and all of that. I'd like to know all that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to use it, because I don't know if it's, it might be worth $3 to me. But I don't think it's worth $30.
30's a lot.
14 miles.
Yeah, 30's a lot. You're right. It's 13, 14 miles, and if it's $30, that's a lot of money.
It's like getting your car repaired, and you don't know exactly what it is, and someone might say, well, it could be $300 or it could be $3,000.
Right.
And it's like you'd say, you're kidding.
John, we're about to come on a 7-minute break.
Yep.
So anyway.
Yep.
I'll let you know if I find out.
Do that, Gary. I appreciate that very much, and point well taken. There's not too many services other than CDOT, I guess, where you don't know what you're going to pay until after you've used it.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound very fair, actually. Line open, 303-477-5600. Keep in mind, Kevin Flesh is going to join us at noon, which is coming up here in just a few minutes, and we're going to talk more about what to do in a traffic stop. So a lot of you that have been listening, especially this time of year, there'll be some roadside sobriety tests as we head into Christmas and New Year's right after that. I think you need to know your rights, what's expected, what can you do, can't you do. We'll talk to Kevin about that at the noontime, and you can call in and ask questions. We'll have Kevin on then. So let's do this. We'll take a real quick break. We'll come right back, and we'll get the rest of these calls in. Larry's got one more coming on right now, so lines are full, but we'll get them opened up here in just a second. John Rush and Dorsey Johnson, Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Hello, Drive Radio listeners. This is Chris Hammond with Kings and Leslie Distributing, your local BG products distributor. Back again this week with your BG Tech Tip. This week, we are going to take a look at brake fluid. Understanding when to change your brake fluid can be very confusing. Some manufacturers include it in the recommended maintenance schedule as early as every 20,000 miles, and other manufacturers completely leave it off of the maintenance schedule. So, why would you need to change your brake fluid at all, and how are you supposed to know when to do it? Well, you see, brake fluid is hygroscopic, which means it attracts and entrains water. As your brake fluid attracts water, it can become corrosive and have a reduced boiling point, thus decreasing the effectiveness in hard stops. To know when to exchange your brake fluid, your technician can perform a simple test to identify the amount of copper content in the brake fluid. Many of the lines and components in the brake system contain copper, so the presence of copper in the fluid is a relative indicator of the corrosiveness in the fluid. As with any fluid in your car, the best time to change the fluid is before it fails. On average, we recommend exchanging the brake fluid in your car at least every 30,000 miles or whenever the copper content indicates a severely corrosive nature of the fluid. Whenever you have a question about any fluid on your car, partner with a trusted technician and get the best advice possible. Thanks again, Drive Radio listeners. This is Chris Hammond with BG Products. We'll talk to you again next week.
Know-how! Inside every quart of Castrol GTX conventional oil, there's an engineer. Well, not a real engineer, because that would be weird, but the work of an engineer who developed Tri-Shield technology to protect your engine from harmful sludge. And now all of that engineering is only $3.39 a quart at Napa. Just $3.39 for Castrol GTX. Conquer the job with Napa Know-how. General states pricing. Sales prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees at participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 12/31/15.
Your wheel alignment can affect tire wear and fuel mileage that will cost you more for repairs and fuel. Armada West uses state-of-the-art 3D imaging to align all four wheels of a vehicle. Be aware that irregular tire wear could also cause the need for additional alignment parts. Stop in or call us for our alignment special. Mention this ad and we'll inspect your vehicle and check your alignment starting at $69.95. Call Armada West Auto at 303-422-1065. Stop by 11752 West 64th Avenue or visit us on the web at armadawestautoandtruck.com.
We breathe dirty air every day, and believe it or not, the air you breathe inside your vehicle can be even more polluted than the air outside. Thankfully, many of the vehicles sold today are equipped with a cabin air filter to help keep the air inside your car clean. If you are driving a car with a dirty or clogged cabin air filter, not only are you breathing dirty air, but it also puts a strain on your car's HVAC system, decreasing its performance and longevity. K&N, the inventor of washable automotive air filters, has applied its decades of high-flow, washable air filter design to cabin air filters for cars and trucks. These robust filters clean and freshen the air coming into your car's interior and are electrostatically charged to hold dust and dirt. They feature a pleated filter media that helps capture most mold, mildew, fungus, spores, bacteria, germs, pollen, and other allergens, while still allowing a high volume of airflow. They are strengthened by a custom design frame for a great fit and years of use. Best of all, K&N cabin air filters are washable and clean up easy with the K&N Refresher Cabin Air Filter Cleaning Kit. They typically only need cleaning every 12 to 15,000 miles or once a year, but you can wash them more often if you'd like, and K&N backs them up with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. They come with easy-to-follow installation instructions so you can easily replace your old filter, usually in 5 to 10 minutes. Keep the air inside your car clean and fresh without continually burying and throwing away disposable filters. Find the K&N washable cabin air filter for your car or truck at knfilters.com. That's knfilters.com.
How stressful. You hear a noise, see a fluid leak, feel something funny, a little light comes on your dash, or your car totally breaks down, and you have no idea what it means, what to do, or how to fix it. With how much we depend on our cars to go about our daily lives, you'd think they'd teach us this stuff in school. Luckily for you, you have us. At Community Auto, we're serious about what we do, and we're darn good at it. Having served Fort Collins and Northern Colorado for over 20 years, our family-owned and operated AAA-approved shop has family that extends far beyond our garage doors. At Community Auto, we put the emphasis on care, not just auto repair. Ladies, ever felt intimidated going into an auto repair shop? Scared you'll be taken advantage of? Our female staff is friendly, knowledgeable, and will thoroughly explain and educate you on what's going on with your car. You'll be in the know and in turn be taken care of. Because at Community Auto, we know that a happy car will get you far.
I want my mileage back. Here's the inside information to get your gas mileage back. Inside your engine, carbon builds up, clogging the injectors and combustion area. If you want your fuel system clean with just one tank of fuel, guess what the Inside Car Guys use most?
About 15 seconds.
44K. In fact, service managers use it almost 3 to 1 over any other fuel system cleaner. To find a shop with BG products, go to bgfindashop.com. That's bgfindashop.com. BG.
It's Christmas. Baby, please come home.
The stars
Radio KLZ 550. Dorsey Johnson from Nevada West is also with us today, and John in Lakewood is on the phone next. John, welcome. What's going on, sir?
I just want to share a story.
Let's hear it.
That I go from Laramie to Wilcott Junction. I do that quite often. I go to Saratoga, Wyoming. Anyway, I noticed these trucks coming up behind me like they're in a real big hurry to get up these hills. And what I do is I get on my left lane, let them go by, and I get back in. It boggles their mind, but I'm thinking, well, it just saves them from having to change lanes. Now, that's dumb, and I wonder why I'm still driving, but I think they kind of appreciate it. I give dirty looks, but, you know.
So you're in the so you're basically getting on the left lane and letting them go by.
Yeah, they're on the right lane.
They're on the right. I see what you're saying. So then you get in the left lane, they go by, and you get back over in the right lane.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I just kind of did.
Let them keep their steam going, and away they go. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah,
no problem with that.
That's them. Yeah. Go, hey, well, thank you.
You're very welcome. That's a great story, John. Merry Christmas to you, too. I appreciate that very much. Let's go to John in Littleton, who is next. John, welcome.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I was at a sports car show at ACC over Littleton, you know?
Yes.
And I was looking at Porsches, and I come on this one Porsche 911, and this guy had a ticket hanging on his driver's side window. I looked at that, and the indications were he was driving from Pueblo to Colorado Springs, and he got caught at 160 miles an hour.
Whoa.
And he had this car for sale, obviously. He must have got the Highway Patrol's blood pressure really up when they caught him on that one.
Yeah, you'd think?
I would think
That's
so.
flying. Yeah.
Those cars could obviously do that, on a track or something. But, the only place I could think of where you might be able to do that, open it up, would probably be between Cheyenne and Casper or somewhere like that,
Nice and flat and open.
Yeah, this guy had this Porsche for sale. I don't know what his ticket is. Probably his old lady probably really ran on him about that one.
Get rid of her, huh? Well, that's a good story, John. Appreciate that very much. Merry Christmas to you, John. You bet. Thank you very much. Let's go to Bob, who's got a comment on the I-70 lane. Bob, welcome, sir.
Morning, John. I think that's speaker. Okay, as far as the cost, before you get on the lane, there are screens that tell you what it will be.
So they do have screens up there that tell you as you're entering how much it is?
Exactly.
Okay.
And I was back in D.C. picking up some cars last week, and they had set up a couple of highways I was on, particularly the expressways in from the Beltway. So I got a chance to see it. It was interesting seeing the range of numbers. But apparently it was the new thing nationwide. It
is. And they're doing the same thing on US 36 now. It's a varying toll lane. Also, where it varies depending upon the time of the day and so on, and it does give you it's a digital readout up above that tells you what it's going to cost you to drive it and so on.
Right, it's 2 axles only, no trailers.
Correct.
And it'd be interesting to see how it works out.
Yeah, it is. It's supposedly going to generate some revenue. I guess we'll see who ends up using it. How deep your wallet is as to how long you want to wait. For me personally. I don't know where my threshold is, but man, if I can get someplace faster and pay the toll, I'll pay the toll. That's me.
Yeah, well, I did 3,500 miles last week coming back, so yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I just, for me, my time. I'm not trying to be a jerk about it or anything, but my time is more valuable than me sitting in traffic. So if I can get someplace, if I can go A to B faster and get back to whatever it is I need to be doing, then I'm going to pay it.
Yeah.
What's the threshold? I don't know. To Gary's point earlier, is there a threshold that will I pay $30? I don't know. I guess it depends on how long we've been up in the mountains and how fast I want to get back home, and what that $30 is worth. If you want to tack that on to the cost of your trip to the mountains for the weekend, well, if you just wrapped it all into that, it may not be a big deal.
Good point. Thanks. Merry Christmas.
Hey, Merry Christmas to you, Bob. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for all your support. Bob's a good, faithful listener. I appreciate that very much. And by the way, that not just Bob, everybody else out there that listens on a weekly, even daily basis, I really do appreciate that very much. Thanks for all your support, and we do appreciate it very much. We got Kevin Flesh coming on here in just a few minutes, so he'll share with us a little bit about what you actually do in a traffic stop, because there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to traffic stops and what you should do, shouldn't do. Some of you that are out there listening, you carry concealed weapons. You've got a concealed weapon permit, and you may carry a weapon. What do you do in those cases? There's a lot of questions surrounding not only that, but what happens if you're in a mandatory roadside test for DUI? You know, what do you do in that particular test? What are your rights? What are you supposed to do, not do? We're gonna talk with Kevin, and I think what you're going to be surprised at is a lot of people give out a lot more information than they really need to in a traffic stop.
Yeah.
You don't really have to give out a lot of information, and a lot of people say a lot more than they should. And I'm not trying to ditch any of the policemen that are out there, but policemen are trained to gather as much information from you as possible.
Exactly.
And you need to know what some of that is, and the fact they're trying to build some rapport. And the reality is, there's probably times you just need to keep your mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
The less said, the better. Right, Doris?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then those officers go through training to try to extract some information from you, even though anything, nothing may be going on. They're there to try to gather as much information as they possibly can. And again, they have a tough job. I'm not trying to beat them up at all. They have a job to do, but you also are, as a citizen of the United States of America, have rights, and you need to know what those rights are. We're going to talk to Kevin Flesh in just a minute. A little bit of different spin on the show. We've never done this before with anybody like Kevin on Drive Radio, but the more I've had Kevin on my daily show, I just thought, we need to get Kevin on, talk about some of these things, especially when it comes to driving, because a lot of you out there listening, you'll want to know some of these things. So I tell you what, let's do this. We got some lines coming in. 303-477-5600 is our phone number. Bernard is on. I think I can squeeze Bernard in really quick. We've got 1 minute. Bernard, I got 1 minute that I'll get you in. If not, we'll have to carry on into the next hour. What can we do for you?
Okay, smart cars on the road. You get the Volkswagen Beetle. There's not. Why?
Say that. Okay, so there's smart cars on the road. The Beetle is not a smart car? What do you mean?
Yeah, the Volkswagen Beetle is out of production. They wouldn't allow them in anymore.
That is correct. The old original Beetles, they're still, I think, made. Actually, the last one, I think, finally got made and sold down in Mexico. But yeah, they quit importing them due to emissions.
Right, okay. So that's the reason for the smart car passed with the emissions and the Volkswagen Beetle did not.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, it was an emissions and some safety things. They would not pass the safety side of the fence, airbags, etc. And also they would not handle the emissions. So that's the story there. Bernard, appreciate the phone call very much. Russ and Cheyenne, you got a couple of stories for us. Hang tight. We'll get to you just as soon as we come back. We'll take a quick time out here at the top of the hour. We'll come right back. Kevin Flesh is going to join us. I'm your host, John Rush, Dorsey Johnson, Drive Radio.
Still haven't had enough? Go to drive-radio.com. Email your questions and comments. Download previous programs and find lots of useful information, including your nearest Colorado Select Auto Care Center. That's drive-radio.com. Thanks for listening to Drive Radio, sponsored by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers on KLZ 560.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for the highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business, so Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers heard on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. For the complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com.
On the next Wake Up with Steve Curtis, we'll take a look at the state of Obamacare right here in Colorado with Art King from Watchdog.org and Linda Gorman from the Independence Institute. Also, Dr. Lance Azumi from the Pacific Research Institute on the recent test results in Colorado schools now that Common Core is the state standard for teaching. It all begins at 6 a.m. on the next Wake Up with Steve Curtis.
Don't
John Rush here on the next Rush to Reason. What are the 10 worst Christmas songs ever? We'll talk about that. We'll take all of your calls. We'll have all of your traffic and weather updates with the strident conservative David Leach. That's Denver's Afternoon Rush, Rush to Reason, every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on KLZ 560.
Freedom, liberty, truth. KLZ AM 560, KLZ HD Denver. Listen live at KLZ560radio.com. KLZ 560.
This is USA Radio News. I'm Chris Barnes.
We passed a balanced budget for the first time since 2001.
That is Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell in the GOP weekly address, looking back on 2015 and some of the highlights for Republicans on Capitol Hill.
We reformed No Child Left Behind and Common Core mandates, replacing a broken law with the most significant K-12 education reform in more than a dozen years. We addressed America's crumbling roads and bridges, passing the first long-term transportation bill in a decade.
President Obama's weekly address giving a top 10 list of administration highlights for 2015, including the improved economy, an increase in health care coverage, action on climate change, the Iranian nuclear deal, and the formation of the coalition against ISIS.
And the number one reason I'm optimistic going into 2016, it's you, the American people.
You're listening to USA Radio News.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-479-2697. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-479-2697.
KLZ Denver.
Hi, this is Scott Watley. This weekend on Live Again, my guest is Mike Golick from ESPN's Mike and Mike. Hearing how Mike was able to use his own stem cells for therapy that changed his life right here at the Premier Stem Cell Institute in Johnstown, Colorado. Live Again, Saturdays, 4:30 p.m., Sundays, 9:30 a.m. Live Again is brought to you by the Premier Stem Cell Institute.
Join Rush during the Afternoon Rush, weekdays from 3 to 6 on KLZ 560.
Being an expert on general automotive knowledge, what would the correct ignition timing be on a 1955 Bel Air Chevrolet with a 327 cubic inch engine and 4-barrel carburetor?
It is a trick question.
What's this?
The Chevy didn't make it through 27 to 55. The 327 didn't come out to 62. And it wasn't offered in the Bel Air with the 4-barrel carb till 64. However, in 1964, the correct ignition timing would be 4 degrees before top dead center.
Get ready for another hour of Drive Radio, brought to you by Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. You got a question for the experts? And give them a call, 303-477-5600. Now it's time to pop the hood and get our hands dirty. Drive Radio on KLZ 560 The Source.
And it is Drive Radio. John Rush, your host, KLZ 560. Dorsey Johnson from Arvada West is also with me today, and Kevin Flesh from Flesh Law Firm just walked in a minute ago. You can find Kevin at fleshlawfirm.com. Just changed the website.
We did.
Yeah.
We used to have two websites for both our personal injury practice and our criminal defense practice, and clients got really confused by that.
So it just made it easier.
We put it together and it's siloed right in the site.
Join it all together. Perfect.
Google is happier about that too.
Yeah, it works much better for you that way. Way better. So we'll talk to Kevin here in just a minute. We're going to talk about what to do during a traffic stop. Russ and Cheyenne, though, has been holding. He's got a couple of stories for us. So, Russ, you're up first in this third hour. What's going on, sir?
I won't take up much time. Back when I was 17, years before cell phones and video recording and stuff like that, I was a little late going to school, and coming around the corner, and there was a cop sitting right there. Told me I was doing the speeding, the spotter as soon as I went to the corner. And as soon as I go by him, he looked me up, and I pulled over, and he was like, well, you know how fast you were going? And I was like, well, yeah, I was. He was speed limit. He was like, well, you were doing 30 and a 20. And I looked up, and I hadn't entered the school zone yet. I was still in front of the flashing light.
Right.
And, oh, no, he's like,
I was like, well, I'm not in the school zone yet. And they were like, prove it. Wrote me a ticket.
Really?
That was my, not so nice cop story. I got one where I was coming home from work one night, and it's kind of a rural road. I was doing about 15 miles an hour over the speed limit. And I got pulled over by another sheriff, and he, I pulled over, and I'm like, I had my stuff ready for him when he got there, because he knew what I was doing. And he was like, well, I'm not going to take your entire week's paycheck because you made a mistake. I'll write you for 5 over. It won't go on your record. It'll cost you $50.
Okay.
So there you go. One bad cop, one good cop.
Right,
so.
right. Yeah, and I don't want to taint, everybody out there by saying every policeman out there is a bad policeman, because that's not the case. It's just like any other industry. There is, bad auto repair shops. There's good auto repair shops. There's bad auto technicians in some of the good auto repair shops, and there's some good, and there's some bad owners with some good technicians, and you can go down the list. It's just the same thing on the police force side of the fence, because the reality is they're all human.
Right. Well, like here in Wyoming, the highway patrol here, they don't have quote unquote quotas, but if you want a new car, you're going to write tickets. So, that's one of the reasons why the highway patrol is, they're generally not very lenient on you, because if they're lenient, they're driving somebody else's POS.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's one of the reasons why they're generally not real lenient, because they want a new car. They got to be generating revenue.
Okay, well, that makes total sense. I did not know that. That makes total sense.
Yep. So there you go.
Merry Christmas to you, Russ. You're a good man.
Merry Christmas.
I appreciate the phone call. You bet. Take care. All right, Kevin, we got a few minutes before we go to break. Man, where do we start here? Part of what got me going was there was an article that I found that I also sent to you that basically said you have the right to remain out of prison.
Yes, which is true.
which is true. And really what it is it's know your rights when it comes to 3 levels of police/citizen encounters. And so I thought, well, you know what, let's just go through some of these things. There's a consensual, there's an investigative detention, there's an arrest. We'll go through a little bit of these. But what I really wanted to start with was, especially knowing as we head into the Christmas, holiday this week, New Year's the week after, there will be some, mandatory roadside tests people have to go through, whether that's Christmas Eve, whether that's New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, New Year's weekend being a longer weekend this year, with it falling on New Year's Eve is Thursday, New Year's on Friday, got Saturday and Sunday after. That's a long drinking weekend for a lot of people.
Yep.
And I'm guessing the cops are going to be out in full force watching all of that. I just thought, best thing to do is just get you on and talk about, some of those things. What are your rights? What do you do, and so on?
Yeah, absolutely. So, especially in those scenarios, and remember, marijuana is now legal too.
Correct.
So that's a whole nother part of the double-edged sword that we have here that people are thinking about when, you have a few drinks, you have a couple of edibles. Not saying that anything should be done before you're driving, but it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it a much more complex situation. But in regards to you're driving along, one of the things that everybody needs to know is that when you're driving on public roadway, we've all agreed to express consent. And what that means is that by driving, we give the police the right, if they have reasonable suspicion or probable cause, to pull you over for an offense. They can't just pull you over to fish, right? We were talking about that off the break. There are definitely places in the city and the state where police go to fish for people.
Prospective tickets to write.
And there are times that they know it's better fishing for DUIs and that sort of thing than others.
Okay.
So especially those late evening, early morning hours, they're on the lookout.
So when I used to tell my kids, there's nothing really good that happens after midnight, get off the road. That's pretty good advice.
Very good advice. Very good. And if you are ever to do a ride along, there are officers that are better than others that can pick out drivers that are under the influence. There are some police officers that are really good at that.
You've got guys that are better at the window when they stop you in all the roadblocks. Certain guys can just tell.
How?
And certain guys can't.
It's like anything else. You may be really good at fixing a particular type of thing on a car. Just being able to diagnose it with not really doing a whole lot. And
like electrical stuff.
Yeah, just that perception of how to fix it. These guys have that same sort of perception.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So they just kind of have that sixth sense.
They have a hunch
where they can just walk up and say, I think this guy's been drinking.
Yeah.
Okay, so walk us
or
through
when
that.
you're driving, they can tell based upon your driving that there's something going on too.
Okay. So walk us through, first of all, before we go to this first break, walk us through the mandatory roadside, sobriety test. So it's New Year's Eve, and it may not even be super late at night. Maybe it's, 11 o'clock at night, you're coming home from a party, or you went out to somebody else's house, you watch the ball drop, and you're on your way home, and it's 12:30.
Yes.
And you happen to come across a mandatory, roadside test.
Yes.
What do you have to do in that as a driver?
Well, so they're going to ask you questions. They're going to want to get your identification, and then they're going to ask you about where you've been. The thing that you have to do with the police officer is you have to let them know who you are, show them some sort of identification if they ask for it.
Okay.
Those mandatory, first of all, if you see those mandatory stops ahead of time, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Turn somewhere else.
So by the way,
you're legally posted.
Yeah, so you're listening to Kevin Flesh. It's fleshlawfirm.com. What's your phone number, Kevin?
Yeah, 303-806-8886.
Okay, so Kevin the lawyer is telling you, all of you listening right now, whether you've been drinking or not. If you see one of those, you just avoid it.
You avoid it.
Just go around it.
Yes. You have every right to. Yeah.
Just drive around it.
Just drive around it.
Don't waste your time. Go around it.
Do not waste your time because it's going to be a lot of time.
You're going to spend time there.
And they're going to be looking for stuff.
Okay.
And especially if you've had a drink or two, you just don't want to get into that situation at all.
Just move around it.
Move around it.
Okay. So,
all right.
So now you find yourself where that didn't happen, and all of a sudden, oh gosh, I wasn't paying attention to those signs.
Right.
Okay. Now, real quick though, I'm sure people out there listening are thinking the same thing. Those signs are up. I avoid it. Are they going to come after me because I avoided it?
No, because again, without you getting into that environment, they have to have a reason to pull you over. Now, if they have some sort of reason to pull you over, they could. But generally speaking, they have these checkpoints, and they're staffed for that checkpoint. They're not staffed to chase people.
Okay.
They're staffed to deal with this issue.
Okay. Now, if I'm driving around, I don't have my headlights on, or I've got one headlight out, or taillights out,
or you're leaving,
or I'm acting erratically, then yeah, they may come after me.
Yep. Windshield. If you have a crack in the windshield.
Okay.
The big one this time of year is the license plate light that's out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you have two, but only one of them's lit. They'll try to pull you over for that.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. They'll come up with any reason, and there's lots of things in the statute that, basic situations in which your car is as a light bulb out or something else, that's enough to have them, to give them a reason to pull you over.
The more opportunities you have to pull somebody over, the more people you pull over, the more people you
Driving your hot rod, it's only got one license plate instead of two.
Correct.
You can't
like
catch them if you don't pull them over.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so I found myself, let's do this. I found myself in that roadside test. When we come back, let's walk through what happens when you actually end up at that roadside test. We'll take a quick break. We'll come right back. If you have questions specifically for Kevin, we'll open up the lines, 303-477-5600. Kevin's an attorney. He's done this stuff for how many years now, Kevin?
Since 96, almost 20.
So almost 20 years now, he's done this. He's my guy. He's my lawyer. If you want to ask any questions, now's your chance. 303-477-5600. We'll be right back here on Drive Radio.
You'll do anything to keep your phone alive, like fashioning an adapter from a hairpin and some used gum. Or get the Blue Fuel portable power bank at Napa for only $18.99. 2 full battery charges for your phone for one low price. For $18.99, the portable power bank will keep your phone fully charged. No hairpins or chewing gum required. Conquer the job with Napa Know-How. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores while supplies last. Offer expires 12/31/15.
Geno's with a J is your go-to auto service shop in Littleton for all your car care needs. Needing an oil change? Take advantage of Geno's premium $29.95 oil change and receive a free set of windshield wipers with the mention of this ad. See store for details. Brakes, alignments, or car maintenance. Geno's does it all. In business over 32 years, Geno's offers courtesy vehicles while your car is being serviced. They are conveniently located at Bowles and Platte Canyon in Littleton. Visit them online at GenosAutoservice.com. That's Geno's with a J.
At Nevada West Auto, we know that fluids are the life of your vehicle. They are also complicated, with all the different types, from motor oil to gear oils to coolant. The types of fluid, service procedures, and intervals can vary widely. Let us help you sort out what your vehicle needs and when it needs to be serviced. Stop in or call us at Arvada West Auto, 11752 West 64th Avenue, 303-422-1065. You can visit us on the web at ArvadaWestAutoandTruck.com.
We breathe dirty air every day, and believe it or not, the air you breathe inside your vehicle can be even more polluted than the air outside. Thankfully, many of the vehicles sold today are equipped with a cabin air filter to help keep the air inside your car clean. If you are driving a car with a dirty or clogged cabin air filter, not only are you breathing dirty air, but it also puts a strain on your car's HVAC system, decreasing its performance and longevity. K&N, the inventor of washable automotive air filters, has applied its decades of high-flow, washable air filter design to cabin air filters for cars and trucks. These robust filters clean and freshen the air coming into your car's interior and are electrostatically charged to hold dust and dirt. They feature a pleated filter media that helps capture most mold, mildew, fungus, spores, bacteria, germs, pollen, and other allergens, while still allowing a high volume of airflow. They are strengthened by a custom design frame for a great fit and years of use. Best of all, K&N cabin air filters are washable and clean up easy with the K&N Refresher Cabin Air Filter Cleaning Kit. They typically only need cleaning every 12 to 15,000 miles or once a year, but you can wash them more often if you'd like, and K&N backs them up with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. They come with easy-to-follow installation instructions so you can easily replace your old filter, usually in 5 to 10 minutes. Keep the air inside your car clean and fresh without continually burying and throwing away disposable filters. Find the K&N washable cabin air filter for your car or truck at knfilters.com. That's knfilters.com.
Oh, there's no place like home for the holidays. 'Cause no matter how far away.
All right, John Rush Drive Radio, KLZ 560. Kevin Flesh Law Firm is with me right now, along with Josie Johnson from Arvada West. And what I'm going to tell you, too, is with Kevin being on today, if you miss any part of today's show or you want to go back and re-listen to something that we've talked about today, just go to our podcast. They're all listed right on our website, drive-radio.com. In fact, this is an episode where if you want to download that or send the link to it to somebody else you know, feel free. There is no copyrights. We don't care. You can share this thing as many times as you want. In fact, we would love it if you did. Put it on your own social media, tweet it out, Facebook it out, email it out, however you want to do it. We don't care. That's what it's here for, right, guys? Right. Okay, so before we take these couple of calls, walk us through this roadside test.
So it's very interesting. So like we were talking off the break, basically they'll get the officer. The first officer will be chatty.
He or she's a nice guy.
Yep, nice guy. Just try to get a sense of who you are.
Chatty Cathy is there to meet you at the window.
Yep. What are they doing? Find out your ID and just look around.
Okay.
And if there's anything that they think is out of the ordinary, or if you've said you've had a few drinks, that sort of thing, you're going to be sent off to another part of the
So they kind of wise out, and you're going to go one way versus the other.
Correct.
Okay.
And once you go to the other where they have some reasonable suspicion to believe that there may be some intoxication or something else going on, that's where you'll go, and then they'll start asking you to do voluntary roadside maneuvers. Okay. Now, voluntary roadside maneuvers mean exactly that. You don't have to do them. And I would advise everyone listening out there to never do roadside maneuvers.
Okay.
Because all they're doing, all the police officers are doing at that point is determining whether or not they've got probable cause to believe that you are impaired to drive. And those maneuvers are intended to give them more evidence.
Okay.
So if you don't do those maneuvers, you're not giving them the evidence.
So you don't have to do the heel to toe,
right?
The finger to nose.
Yes. The nystagmus,
around the rugged rock, the rugged rascal.
All of this. Okay.
I can go on and on.
One leg stand, the going backwards, the alphabet backwards. I mean, they can get pretty creative with some of the things that they do.
I'm not sure I could do the alphabet backwards. I don't ever drink, but I don't think I could do it backwards.
Right. Most people can't. Or numbers, all of those sorts of things. And it's really, and then they're asking you questions. Have you had a head injury? Do you have any other injuries that would cause you to have balance problems? All of those sorts of things.
Okay.
So you then do those things. If they think, so if you're smart and you don't do them, you put them in a spot where they have to decide whether or not they can arrest you right there.
Got it.
Because once they have that decision made and they think, I've got enough to ask you to do some sort of chemical test, breath or blood generally is the two that they're asking to do. And you get the option if they believe it's alcohol. And the officer will tell you, which one do you want to do? And I would always advise people to do blood because we can retest the blood. There's more chances that's right. And there's more chances of things going wrong in a trial with a blood test versus breath.
Okay.
There's not as much that we can do to really make sure that the testing is authentic with a breath test.
Okay. Makes total sense.
But if you're taking that sort of test, that means you're in custody, you've been arrested.
You got other problems anyway.
Yep.
They should call you at that point.
At that point, they won't allow you to call me.
Right. But as soon as they can, they should.
Right. Now, the other thing that people need to realize is if you refuse those tests, you've automatically, there are some things we can do after the fact, but you can, 75% of the time, you're going to lose your driving privilege for a year, first offense, period. You're going to lose your driving privilege because of that express consent. Yeah. So it's, and the way it works then with the DMV portion is, let's say you do refuse, you actually lose your license, no driving for 60 days. You can get an interlock device put in your car. You can drive that vehicle for the rest of that period of suspension. Whereas if you take a test, it's over the legal limit, which is 0.08 at this point.
Right.
If it's over 0.08, you're losing your license, first offense, for 9 months. Again, you lose it, no driving for 30 days. And then after that 30-day period, you can get interlock.
Which, by the way, has a cost to it on a monthly basis and so on.
Yep, and there's some stigma to it. You know, you're going to have to explain to your kids why you're blowing.
It's the only car you can drive, too.
That's exactly right.
Period. You cannot have a company car. You can't do anything else.
You also lose your CDL.
That's right. You're
for
done.
a year. Period.
You know, really, bottom line here, folks, for everybody listening, we haven't said this yet, but I'm going to make sure I insert this. Don't drink and drive.
Yeah, it's really simple.
The easy way to get out of this, I've been driving, I'm 51 years of age. I've been driving since I was 16 legally. I drove, in the parking lots and dirt roads and so on since I was probably 13 or 14. I've never once had a DUI. Why? I don't drink and drive. I don't drink, but I don't drink and drive.
Right.
It's real easy.
Yep.
This isn't rocket science.
No.
Yet I've known people that have had multiple of these.
Yeah, and my experience with that, so the easy answer is don't do it. I mean, we've got plenty of opportunities to get alternative...
Uber, Lyft, taxis, you name it.
Right, light rail. I mean, yeah. But if you do, what I find in our practice is the individuals that have multiple problems with this have other issues that they're dealing with.
That's
unfortunate.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. All right, Ryan, you're next. What's going on? What question do you have for Kevin?
Hey, Kevin. Yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on some advice that I've heard before. And if you're going into a checkpoint and, you're unable to turn around, I've heard that, you really don't have to speak to the officer. You do have to roll down your window. They're going to look at you. They're going to ask you, have you had anything to drink? But you don't have to answer anything. I mean, you can simply say, hi, I'm sorry, I do not answer any questions, and leave it at that. And so, obviously, maybe they would have their suspicion aroused a little more, but, it's just someone flexing their rights to just simply not answer any questions. And then also, from what I've heard, I don't believe you have to provide identification. I think that's actually illegal for them to be fishing for, to do an ID check. So I wanted to get your thoughts on those two
Great questions. Yeah, that is a great question. So relating to a stop of that manner, you have to provide them some sort of identification or tell them who you are. And if they ask you for an ID, in Colorado, you have to give them an ID when you're driving. So, because they want to prove that, they want to make sure that you're actually able to drive.
You have a driver's license.
Yes.
Because driving is, and I'll keep saying this, and I know people will argue with me on this when I've had this many times on this show, I still personally feel like driving is a privilege, not a right. Since it's a privilege, yes, you have to show that you have the legality to drive.
That's correct. And if you're on a public roadway, it's a privilege, unfortunately. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's the state. The idea is that the state's put together the roadways. We as taxpayers have combined our resources to do this.
Well, the reason I always say that, I'm going to go back to this, there's nothing in the Constitution that says I can drive.
Right.
It's not there.
Right.
So it is a now the movement, me, being able as a citizen to move around, do whatever I want to do freely and so on. That's fine. I can walk. I can get on a horse. I can get on a bicycle. I can do all sorts of things to move freely. But when I start using the public roadways, I have to prove I have a license to do so.
Yeah. So that's where that aspect of it, Ryan, is you've got to provide them ID. But you're absolutely correct. You want to keep your speech to a minimum, and you certainly don't. You have to listen to the officer and follow the direction. Yeah, be respectful, certainly. And generally speaking, in these checkpoints, like I said, it's going to be a fellow or a woman officer that has a decent personality because they want to get you talking to figure out what's going on. And so generally speaking, the other thing that I would say, though, relating to you come up to the checkpoint and you start telling them I'm not answering questions. I don't want people to get into an adversarial relationship with this officer immediately. So what I would say is don't say anything until they say something to you. Be ready to provide your ID, but beyond that, you don't have to say anything. Keep your mouth shut because they're also looking at they're probably going to be shining a light on your eyes to see if you have bloodshot, watery eyes, if there's anything else going on inside of the vehicle. Keep your hands in a place where they feel safe. Just do it so that the amount of time that they spend with you is at a minimum, because that means that they aren't going to be able to find a whole lot. Does that help you?
Right. Yeah, and I have a question too. So, like, if you pull up and, they ask you, have you had anything to drink? And you say, I'm sorry, I do not answer any questions. If they say, well, you need to go pull over there into secondary, isn't that illegal? I mean, they can't make you go to secondary without obviously at that point, I guess you do it, but they can't really make you do that without some kind of,
reasonable suspicion. Yes.
Articulable suspicion.
Correct. That's exactly right. And so if they're asking you to do that at that point, the officer believes that they have it, and you're going to be fighting about that later if you're charged. That's going to be my job, to make sure that we get all of that out in the way of evidence of what exactly they had in the way of reasonable suspicion to ask you to go to that next checkpoint.
Got it.
But at the time, you don't want to get into an argument with the officer, because then you're going to give them even more reason to pull you over.
Right. All right.
So you're absolutely correct.
Another question?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct about that. What you're wanting to do in that situation is be firm but polite. And if they tell you to go over and see what happens at that next checkpoint. Again, remembering not saying much. You're in.
Keep your lips closed.
And at this point, you're in sort of an investigation stage. And again, you have constitutional rights not to make any statements. They already know who you are, so don't make any statements after that.
Makes
and
sense.
You can certainly say, I'm not answering that question. Or if they're asking you about whether you've been drinking or not, you can certainly say no, even if you had. I know it's lying to a police officer, but that puts it on them to determine whether or not that statement is accurate.
Got it.
Right. Okay. Is it all right if I ask one more?
Yeah, go ahead.
Regarding them asking for a driver's license, how is that not against, like, the Terry stop? I don't know if that's a statute or whatever, but, like, if you're not driving and you're walking down the sidewalk, they can't just ask you for ID without an articulate.
You're out of the car at that point. That's a whole different ballgame, because you're out of the, and I'm not a lawyer, but I know some of this stuff. You're out of the vehicle at that point. Totally different situation.
John, you're stealing my thunder.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, you're absolutely right. So the U.S. versus Terry stop is a U.S. Supreme Court case talking about consensual stops and asking for identification. That was an individual who was on a sidewalk, essentially, and a police officer came up and asked him for ID and that sort of thing. And that's where we get into, when you're driving a car, you have the obligation, when a police officer asks you for a driver's license, because of express consent and because of the privilege issue, you have the obligation to give them an ID.
Okay.
So it's different. Now I'll tell you, Ryan, in the event that you're out of your car and you're walking up to a checkpoint like this, there you've got Terry issues because you're not driving.
Right. So if you're walking along the side of the road and they're then going to question you, you don't have to at that point. You don't even have to show ID because you're not driving.
Correct.
Make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Ryan, good call, by the way. Appreciate that very much. Great questions. Merry Christmas to you. Let's go to Mike, who is up next. We'll do this real quick before the break. Mike, you're next.
Sounds great. Thanks. In Illinois, if you know you're drunk and you're driving, back to John's point, please don't do that. But if you know you are, the argument is not to blow or even get blood, because if you blow .08, you lose your license for a year. If you refuse to blow, you lose your license for a year. But if you blow higher, if you blow 1.16, you're going to lose your license for a lot more. So if you know you're going to fail, they make the argument not to do anything.
Right, and I will tell you, in Colorado, we have a similar situation now where if you blow or you have a blood test and the results are above 0.15, the initial suspension is the same, but then you have to have an interlock device for 2 years in your vehicle. And so we could get into different scenarios where I could give you advice, but then we're talking about technical aspects of the stop, and you as an individual under the influence have to decide where you fall into the category of folks. And
It's hard to do, probably.
Yeah, I hate to give advice to refuse, because I've also seen cases where if the person just would have taken the test, they would have been okay. They would have been better off. And so that's now I've got individuals that I've represented that have had multiple DUIs, that they're sophisticated drinkers and drivers. They shouldn't be on the roads, right?
Oh my God.
But they are, and their position is exactly what you've said. They've decided, I'm not doing any tests, and I'm not doing any voluntary roadside maneuvers, and I'm not doing any chemical tests because I want as little evidence to be provided to the police and the prosecution as possible. But those are
one more question.
Sure.
Yeah, one more question real quick.
Sure.
Is refusing to answer questions, right? I guess, so I kind of always think that I'm going to keep my mouth shut and pretend I can't talk. Just smile, shake my head yes or no. I'm not saying nothing. Is not speaking or is refusing to answer a question. Is that a good example of what you would use to say, look, the only suspicion this cop had to ask him to go to secondary screening was that he refused to answer his questions? That's not reasonable suspicion.
That's correct. That's not reasonable suspicion.
And would you argue, like I said, just sitting there, just smile and shake my head and just say, look, I got nothing to say. Don't even speak, because again, they can't smell your breath. Don't open your window all the way. I mean, all that seems crazy. It seems like you're going to cross hairs with the wrong guy and be in big trouble. But that seems like they're saying that's the best thing to do.
That is the best thing to do. I wouldn't not speak, because then they're going to think that you're being sort of a smartass, and they're going to pull you over, and they're going to try to make things up with regard to watery eyes, smell of alcohol, just other things. What I would do is I would just be straight up, say I'm not answering that.
Minimize your answers.
I'm not answering that question.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mike. Good stuff, by the way. Appreciate all the phone calls. Got one line open, 303-477-5600. Kevin will be with us until the top of the hour at 1 o'clock when we go off air. And then, of course, it's Sportsman of Colorado next. And I can already tell with the questions coming in, we'll have to have Kevin back. Because this will go on and on for a while, which is okay. That's what we wanted. I really wanted this today. So if you've got a question, call us now. Kevin will be with us, 303-477-5600. Hold that thought, Kevin. We'll talk about that as soon as we come back. Don and Jerry, we'll get your questions in. Don't worry. We'll be back right after this. John Rush Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Your car's fuel economy was never better than when it was new. But time and miles have robbed your car of its MPG and performance. Service managers recommend BG44K to remove carbon and restore mileage in just one tank of fuel. In fact, dealerships nationwide use BG44K almost 3-to-1 over any other product. To find a shop at BG Products, go to BGFindAShop.com. BG.
Can you imagine selling your car next week and saying to the buyer, hey, don't worry, because the engine is covered against failure for life. It's called the Lifetime Protection Plan for the Engine from BG Products. Now imagine having this huge benefit free with your next oil service when you remember these two letters, BG. BGMOA is available at over 20,000 shops nationwide. Find yours at BGFindAShop.com. That's BGFindAShop.com. BG.
Colorado Select Car Care Centers present 560 ways to care for your car. Especially important this time of year is to change your windshield wipers. Since the rule of thumb is to swap them out every 6 months, consider blades now and summer blades in the spring. Colorado Select is a hand-picked group of shop owners who are ASL certified master technicians, providing exceptional customer service with, at a minimum, a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on every repair. Find a Colorado Select Car Care Center near you at coloradoselect.org.
Know-how! Inside every quart of Castrol GTX conventional oil, there's an engineer. Well, not a real engineer, because that would be weird, but the work of an engineer who developed Tri-Shield technology to protect your engine from harmful sludge. And all of that engineering is only $339 a quart at Napa. Just $339 for Castrol GTX. Conquer the job with Napa Know-how. General states pricing. Sales prices do not include applicable state and local taxes or recycling fees at participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 12/31/15.
John Rush here. Want to talk to you again about pets, your pet in particular. But maybe you know somebody that has pets, but you have no idea where to direct them when there's some sort of an issue. Well, guess what? Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center, they are open every day of the year, including holidays. They run special hours on those days. They've got an emergency phone number. So this isn't one of those clinics where it's an 8 to 5 sort of a deal. But no, they do the whole 9 yards, including pet boarding. So, David, I know you've got a big dog, correct?
I do, a 3.5-year-old Alaskan Malamute.
Have you ever had to board him?
Not so far. We only adopted him about a year ago.
Okay, so I've got a place for you. If you and your wife have to go out of town, there's no family, no one else to watch, you have family at Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center. They'll actually take care of your dog just like you would.
That's great. They would have to be very special because he's a special guy.
Well, normally, again, this is a great center. It's 2 stories. They've got a full basement underneath where they do the grooming, swim therapy. They've got a full, by the way, on the upstairs level, they've got a full medical center where they do surgeries, the whole 9 yards. They have got this deal figured out. Everything from digital x-rays to ultrasounds to laparoscopic surgery. They've got it covered. Doesn't matter what it is. Anything you need, they can take care of. But when it comes to the boarding side of the fence, David, they'll do the whole 9 yards, and I've been there, I've seen it, and guess what? It doesn't smell like the typical kennel that you would normally walk into.
That's nice, and it's also nice to know that they can handle a large breed dog.
And they can handle it for every day. Let's say you wanted to do daycare. They'll do that, or if you're going to go out of town for the next 3 weeks, they'll take care of that also. So anything you need, Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center is the place to go to. It's 303-708-8050. Call them today, or you can visit them online at LoneTreeVet.com.
This is Red Merrill for Phoenix Weaponry. Phoenix Weaponry is a weapon manufacturer that services the firearm enthusiast. From precision ARs to suppressors, Phoenix Weaponry can make your dreams come true. Phoenix Weaponry is a full-service gun shop that offers gunsmithing, coating, and modifications to your own weapon. Phoenix Weaponry, family-owned and operated right here in Colorado. If you can dream it, Phoenix Weaponry can build it. Call today, 720-340-2496. Again, that's 720-340-2496. Or visit their website, phoenixweaponry.com. Mention Sports from Colorado and receive
5 seconds.
Your custom-built weapon.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
All right, so Dorsey just said, don't do a roadside in high heels. Does that apply to Caitlin? Is that why you Bruce, Caitlin, is that why you said that?
Could be.
You got to really be used to walking in those high heels before you take that test, right?
Correct. Some of them that have been walking in them for years, I've seen them not too cool on the roadside.
I'll bet. I'll bet. Yeah, that'll never be an issue for me. Drinking or high heels. Either one won't be a problem. All right, Don's got some questions on oil additives. Let's get that real quick. Don, welcome. What's going on?
Hi, gentlemen. Enjoy your show today.
Thank you, sir.
I got a friend, we're sitting around the retirement table fixing all the problems, and he bought a new car about a year ago.
Okay.
And he was told not to use any MOA in his car during the warranty. Is that true?
No.
I didn't think it would be, but
no, it's not true. And you can look at BG's website, and they've even got their own warranty that would handle any problem that would come up on that. The manufacturer would have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that motor oil additive actually caused whatever engine damage occurred. Let's just say something did happen. They would have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was the MOA additive that actually caused that problem. And if it did, BG's got its own warranty that would kick in. The reality is it'll never happen. It's not a problem. You could run BG's MOA without any issues.
Okay, so you can do that right away. I told him to do it and start using it. He said, no, warranty. They told me not to do that.
Yeah, you can do it right away. There's nothing legally speaking that the dealership or the manufacturer could do on that.
Mm-hmm. Good. And I got a question about alignments. How often do you need to do an alignment? Do you supposed to do it every
in our country where we live right here, with knowing what we're going through as we speak right now, I would do it once a year minimum.
Oh, okay.
Annually.
That's what
and really in the spring would be the best because you've just come through the winter months with our potholes and all the other stuff. I would do it in April or May, and then you're good for the rest of the year.
You've hit a few curbs and stuff like that. Make sure you get a full four-wheel alignment.
That's right.
I find so many cars that the rears are out and they've never been touched.
Yep, do all four.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the full thing because Dorsey, you're doing that.
There you go then. Then you're set.
Next week for full change anyway, or whenever I can get in, I'll have it done at that time.
Good deal, Don.
Yep. So, okay.
Merry Christmas. You bet. Appreciate it very much. All right, another legal question. By the way, we've got Kevin Flesh with us. FleshLawFirm.com is the website. You can visit Kevin there. If you've got questions, we'll have him on for another 20 minutes. 303-477-5600. Fred, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I've got a question regarding just purchased a handgun. I'm wondering what the law is in regards to storing it in the vehicle. I mean, does it have to be in the trunk or does it have to be unloaded?
Right. So, do you have a concealed carry?
No, but I'm getting ready to take some classes to get a concealed carry.
Okay. Yeah, so have the concealed carry permit, and then you don't have to worry about it. Generally speaking, in Denver and Boulder, you want to have that weapon in the trunk in the event that you're traveling with it, because you don't want it theoretically concealed within the vehicle, Neil, where you could
Because
use
it's
it.
a city law in those cases versus the state.
Otherwise,
Okay, does it have to be unloaded?
nope, doesn't have to be unloaded.
I see.
And then the state law. Now, you're not. Are you using this just for self protection? You're not using it for hunting.
Yes.
Okay.
Just self-protection.
Cool. And then the other thing for state law, really for transporting it around as you're going from place to place, you're fine wherever it is in the vehicle, except for those two municipalities that have sort of issues with people and weapons. The idea is that if you got pulled over by a police officer, they couldn't see anything in the main part of the vehicle.
So once you have the permit to carry it, well, how is that dealt with, or what?
Once you have a concealed carry permit, then you can have it on your person or somewhere in the vehicle.
Box, console, under the seat, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
And,
okay.
And generally speaking, if you're pulled over, my advice to folks is don't volunteer that there's a weapon in that vehicle until a police officer asks.
I see. Okay. Okay. Another question that I have is, let's assume I'm pulled over for speeding, and I opt for the blood test. I get arrested. What do you do when you have what do you do to secure the stuff that you have in your car? Tools, bicycles. Sometimes I'll have 10 grand of equipment in my car.
Yeah.
How do you go about that?
That's a great question. And to segue also with the last question you had, if you've been drinking, don't have a weapon in your vehicle. Because that's unauthorized use of a weapon. That's a whole other charge, because intoxication and weapons don't mix. And police like to charge folks, even if it's in the vehicle and you're not using it for any purpose, they're going to say you're possessing it because with the alcohol, it's unauthorized use. Okay.
Which real quick means those of you that do carry concealed, you need to really be aware of what you've drank or what you've drunk that night, what kind of alcoholic beverages you've had or haven't had. And when you're hopping in the car after that, you need to be even more aware of it than the average person drinking because of what Kevin just said.
That's exactly right. If you're a concealed carry and you've forgotten that the weapon's in your vehicle.
Can I clarify something?
Yeah.
Okay, in regards to having equipment in the car, let's say expensive bicycles, construction tools, and so forth, what do they do? I mean, do they leave the vehicle on the side? How do you secure those valuables?
Yep. So what happens is the officer has quite a bit of authority after a stop and arrest of the driver. They can ask you if you have someone that can come and pick the vehicle up that's not been impaired by any sort of drug or alcohol. And they'll leave it there, and then figure out, if you've got another set of keys somewhere, they can take your keys and lock them in the vehicle and leave it on the side of the road. The other option for them is to tow it. And that's what they generally do, because as much as they say they don't have a relationship with some towing folks,
They do.
And so that's good work for those folks, and they will tow, and then you'll have to pick it up the next day or so.
And pay the impound fee and.
Exactly.
Can you call AAA to get your vehicle towed under that circumstance?
If the officer allows you to do that, certainly. But generally speaking, they won't allow you to do it, because if you are towing it or AAA, they're going to have their own people.
Generally, they'll have their own people close by to move the car in a quick fashion.
Yep, correct.
And they have that relationship with that tow company already built in.
Yeah.
How nice. Yeah, it's a nice little setup.
Well, and in defense of them, they do that because of the accident side of the fence. If there's an accident, it's in the middle of the road, they've got to get the roadway cleared for the rest of traffic. They want a relationship with a tow company that will respond, Johnny on the spot, be there, get that accident cleared, and that helps the rest of us when we're driving around. Just remember that that's also the case when you have a DUI.
Yeah, and for liability purposes, they don't want to be held responsible. Let's say you've got $10,000 worth of equipment in there, and you go and go get it, and it's gone. Right. You're going to say, well, the police were the ones that had my vehicle last. They had an obligation to secure it, and they didn't.
Yeah, all that stuff should be on the police inventory sheet for the impound.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Fred. Great question, by the way. We'll come right back. We're going to take a real quick break. We'll do one last segment with Kevin. If you've got questions on really anything legal while you're driving, let's see if we can keep it to driving. We'll get Kevin back in the future and maybe get some just general legal questions answered. I wanted to focus today on the driving portion of it, especially what to do in these roadside tests. We're not quite done with that. We'll finish that up when we come back. If you got a question, lines are open, 303-477-5600. John Rush, Kevin Flesh, and Dorsey Johnson right here on Drive Radio.
Consequences. And a consequence of a poorly maintained fleet of work vehicles is the unfortunate timing of a breakdown. Your customers are counting on you, and one breakdown could be a deal breaker for the customer your driver is trying to reach. Maybe that customer has clients of his own who are demanding an explanation, and so on. How long do you expect to be in business when your customers think you are unreliable? Your solution? Tilden Total Car Care. Using state-of-the-art software to monitor each vehicle in your fleet, Tilden can actually anticipate maintenance items before they become major repairs or ultimately breakdowns. Protect your profits, minimize downtime, and sleep better. Call Tilden Total Car Care today and ask about their fleet maintenance program. Call 303-797-7977. 303-797-7977. Tilden Total Car Care, helping as many people as they can, as fast as they can. Federal in Bellevue in Inglewood and 6th and Peoria in Aurora.
Colorado Select Car Care Centers present 560 ways to care for your car. Especially important this time of year is to top off your wiper fluid. Make sure the fluid you choose is suitable for cold weather. If you're not sure, take it to any Colorado Select Car Care Center and they'll check it for you. Colorado Select is a hand-picked group of shop owners who are ASE certified master technicians driven to provide exceptional customer service with, at a minimum, a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on every repair. Find a Colorado Select Car Care Center near you at coloradoselect.org.
How stressful. You hear a noise, see a fluid leak, feel something funny, a little light comes on your dash, or your car totally breaks down, and you have no idea what it means, what to do, or how to fix it. With how much we depend on our cars to go about our daily lives, you'd think they'd teach us this stuff in school. Luckily for you, you have us. At Community Auto, we're serious about what we do, and we're darn good at it. Having served Fort Collins and Northern Colorado for over 20 years, our family-owned and operated AAA-approved shop has family that extends far beyond our garage doors. At Community Auto, we put the emphasis on care, not just auto repair. Ladies, ever felt intimidated going into an auto repair shop? Scared you'll be taken advantage of? Our female staff is friendly, knowledgeable, and will thoroughly explain and educate you on what's going on with your car. You'll be in the know and in turn be taken care of. Because at Community Auto, we know that a happy car will get you far.
You'll do anything to keep your phone alive, like fashioning an adapter from a hairpin and some used gum. Or get the Blue Fuel portable power bank at Napa for only $18.99. 2 full battery chargers for your phone for one low price. For $18.99, the portable power bank will keep your phone fully charged. No hairpins or chewing gum required. Conquer the job with Napa Know-How. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores while supplies last. Offer expires 12/31/15.
Every car has a transmission, and every transmission needs servicing. But most drivers ignore their transmission. Don't fix what ain't broke, as they say. Larry's Automotive is the area's most respected transmission and driveline repair facility. And they'll tell you that most of the expensive repairs they do could easily have been avoided with regular scheduled maintenance. Maybe they were told by a mechanic that their transmission fluid was getting dark, or maybe there was a slight hesitation between gears. Whatever the case, they are now faced with expensive repairs. Larry's technicians are ATRA and ASE certified, and their warranty covers you even if you're out of town. And while there's nobody better for transmission repair than Larry's Automotive,
15 seconds.
prefer to do the preventive maintenance instead. Larry's Automotive and Transmission Repair, the Driveline Pros on Bradburn Boulevard in Westminster. Call 303-427-2108. 303-427-2108.
Hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away, Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, weak and the poor.
John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560, our last segment of the year. Yeah, because next week is a replay show, one of our best of shows, because we're all going to take the day off. So, Dorsey, appreciate this last year. It's been great. Have enjoy your day off. Kevin Flesh Law Firm.com is with us. If you got any questions for Kevin, even off air, I would encourage you, all of you driving, this is really a big deal. Put this in your registration. Just take a slip of paper, a sticky note. Kevin's going to get some things made that we're going to give out this next year, because him and I have been talking about that. But for the time being, for your registration, somewhere in with that, just write this phone number down, 303-806 8886. Because if you ever get pulled over and have an issue and you need somebody to represent you, Kevin is your guy, and he'll take care of you. Just put that in with your registration. Actually, Dan Muir gave us that idea, my cohort on Rush to Reason, kind of, hey, we need some sort of a, cover, something that you could just slip all this stuff into, and then it's done, it's set. So Kevin and I will work on that. We'll get that out to you. Maybe some of the remotes we have, we could hand some of those things out, and we'll have some of those come up in the near future, which, speaking of that, we will have a remote out at Extreme Auto Repair on December the 9th. So not December. Sorry, January the 9th. December's over. Right. January the 9th. Why do I keep saying December? I don't know why. January the 9th, we're going to have a remote at Extreme Auto Repair, and you're going to have the opportunity to see how your car is built to protect you, hear the basics of what to do in an accident from a state trooper, and learn the long-lasting effects of an impact from a chiropractor. That'll all be at Extreme Auto Repair on the 9th. You need to register for that. So what I would encourage you to do is go to extremeautorepair.com, look up all the information there, send them an email, do whatever you need to, but make sure that you mention to them that you will be attending so they know how to plan for that particular event. So that is January 9th. It'll be an indoor event, so he needs to know how to plan for that. So get ready for that. It'll be a lot of fun. Barry in Arvada, you're next. What's going on, sir?
I have a concealed carry permit. Okay. My question deals with if you're pulled over, stopped by a police officer, do you have to tell the officer that you do have a concealed carry permit and that you have a weapon in the automobile?
Just tell the officer you know me.
Yeah.
And they'll immediately be taken in.
Yeah, that's right. Now immediately haul you in.
So the quick answer is no, you don't have to disclose that. If they ask you, you have to be honest with them about it. And under the statute, they can take that weapon from you for safety of the officer.
During the stop.
During the stop only, and then they give it back to you.
Okay.
But unless they ask, you don't have to give that information. Yeah. And I've been in some different concealed weapons classes where some trainers will say exactly what Kevin's saying. I've had others that will say, the minute you're pulled over, just tell them right then and there you've got it. And after listening to Kevin more and more, I think some of those trainers are wrong. It's one of those things where don't give out any more information than you have to.
Okay. And this is the thing. If you're in a jurisdiction that you know that they're very friendly to concealed carry permit holders, then maybe disclose it. But you're still taking that risk that something else will happen. My belief, less is more in those sorts of circumstances, especially, I do defense work in Westminster. I do all over the metro area. Not every police force is comfortable with these concealed carry permits as others, and so you've got to be careful about that.
Okay.
You bet. No, I understand. Another quick question.
Sure.
I heard the conversation regarding if you have a weapon, you should carry it in your trunk like a shotgun or something like that. If you have a pick-em-up truck, the only way when I go to shoot skeet or trap is in the back seat, and I end up going through Denver when I'm going to shoot.
In the case behind your seat.
In the case behind my seat.
Yep.
Should be fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a long gun, so they're not going to care as much because you're transporting it through the city. The handguns, they have a little bit more
an issue with.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Super.
Great
Jeremy,
question.
thank you so much.
You got you. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. So another guy emailed in. Jeffrey actually asked. So you can just drive around the DUI checkpoint without stopping. Not exactly. What he's saying, explain that again real quick. Kevin.
Yeah, so normally these DUI checkpoints are on large, 4-lane roads or somewhere where you can't really drive around them. What I'm saying is if you see them well in advance, quarter of a mile, half a mile, and you're able to turn right.
Because they should notify you that they're there anyways, right?
And if you're able to go onto another street,
side road, whatever.
Yep, go around that way. You can't drive.
You in the middle of the road, probably not a good idea.
Not a good idea. No, it's not. I mean, but if you have the ability to turn right or left and get off that roadway and circumvent that area, not on the side of the road, do that, but otherwise you have to go through it.
Common sense. Now, here's what happens, though, and Kevin knows this as well as anyone. When you're drinking and driving, common sense kind of goes out the window.
It does. And
because you're impaired.
Exactly. And you don't see that sign you should have seen.
That's the point. That's why you shouldn't drink and drive. So Sportsman of Colorado is coming up next. We're going to find out from Scott Watley what's going on. Him and Kevin are going to switch here for just 1 second so we can figure out exactly what's going on. Scott's used to this. He'll just plug in and get the mic going. And I can't remember Scott's CB handle, the old Silver Fox or Silver something or other. Silverfly. Silverfly is going to tell us what's going on with Sportsman of Colorado.
Hey, John, we're going to be checking in, I should say, with Aaron Casey. He is down at Tanner Gun Show.
Right on.
So, Phoenix Weaponry, he's going to be letting us know what's going on there. And also, we have Tim Brass, which we have. There we go. Get you up there higher. There we go. Tim Brass, which we've brought on your show before, from Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, going to be in studio with us. Just kind of let us know what's going on with all the land out there and keep us educated.
Make sure we have enough to keep doing what we want to do when it comes to using the outdoors and enjoying it and
Yes,
losing
sir.
it, right?
Right, absolutely. And now I think we're going to carry on with Kevin a little bit more, too. We've got a lot of questions on this gun thing. And one day, if I could, put a pitch in for Haystack Shop Radio. Got a gentleman going to be in with us for the hour from CCW Safe.
Okay.
We've all heard of the U.S. Law Shield.
Yep.
So, in my words, a competitor to them. And I haven't really figured all these. I get emails where people ask me which one's the best, and I'm not familiar with this one, so I just call the guy, invite him in, and see what he's about.
Very cool. I'll be listening.
We'll
It'll be fun. Right, so that'll be Monday from noon to 1, right here on KLZ.
Yes, sir. And he's talking about gun violence and how he can help that. He's met with White House.
Okay.
And the guy sounds like the real deal. So I'm going to find out Monday.
Sounds great. Okay, so finish up, Kevin. If there's anything else we've missed when it comes to this, and there's so much more, again, we'll get you back.
Yeah.
In fact, we'll probably get you back here in January. We can do more of this. Any other tips if somebody is actually, it's just a normal traffic stop, not a DUI, not a sobriety test, in a normal traffic stop, what should people do or not do?
So once they realize they're getting pulled over, you want to pull out the information relating to your identification, your driver's license, proof of insurance, because those are the two big items, and then some sort of proof of ownership of the vehicle. Registration is pretty simple. So when you have those things available, so that when the officer comes up to the window of your car, you have your hands on the actual steering wheel so that they can see them. Nobody's moving around crazily in the vehicle, so you're always concerned about officer safety because
we see what happens today. That's right. It's a different world today than it was even 5 years ago.
Correct. And so you want to make sure those officers feel comfortable when they come up. Then you don't say anything. You let the officer tell you what he or she is doing.
You know why I pulled you over today, Mr. Flesh?
Right. I don't know why you pulled me over. Right. I have no idea what
in a heap of trouble, boy.
So you listen to the question, you respond. If it's, do you know why I pulled you over? The answer is, I don't know. Can you tell me?
Okay.
And you leave
in those exact words.
Yes.
I don't know. Can you tell me?
Right. Because what they're looking for you to do is admit guilt, right?
Yeah, I was doing 85 in that 35 mile an hour zone back there.
That's exactly right. And if they get that, then they don't have to prove anything because they've gotten admission by you.
You just said what you did.
Correct. And that's.
Oh, I think I ran through that stop sign back there. Yeah, wrong answer.
Wrong answer. You don't say it. You just listen, just listen. And then respond with as short of words, as short of sentences as possible.
And sometimes those of us, and Scott's a talkative guy, I'm a talkative guy, us type A talkative people, sometimes that's hard to just shut up sometimes.
Most people, when they get into a situation where they're nervous, and everybody's nervous when you're pulled over, you want to be talkative because it just feels more comfortable.
It's more comfortable, right?
Right.
And they want you to talk.
That's exactly
because it's more comfortable and they can extract more information. Correct, Kevin?
Yep. So just listen. Be polite, do the things you need to do, make the event with the police officer as simple for them and that they feel safe, and normally things will go along.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Dorsey Johnson, Arvada West. Give your phone number out real quick.
303-422-1065.
422-1065. That's Arvada West.
Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Larry's Automotive and Transmission on the other side of the glass. Thanks so much. Mindy, our great engineer, appreciate her very much. And again, Kevin Flesh, you can get him at 303-806-8886. Don't go away. Sportsman of Colorado is coming up next. Keep the dial right here. And everybody have a great Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year because we will not see you until January the 2nd. So you guys be safe. God bless. Have a great, fantastic week. And I'll be back on Monday, Rush to Reason, right here on KLZ 560 every night during the week from 3 to 6 p.m. We'll see you then.
Still haven't had enough? Go to drive-radio.com. Email your questions and comments. Download previous programs and find lots of